Hello there, guys. Welcome to Konnekt7 Podcast. I am your host, Thaddeus Sims, and we have an amazing guest speaker for today. But before we get into this is season 2, episode 23, SirDushon. That is actually our guest speaker. But of course, let me give you guys everything that you want first before you come for my neck later, because I know you will. So the announcement. So I know I've been gone for a little minute, but I will explain why in this episode, because y'all have been giving me pressure and energy, and I'm going to return that to you all. I'm going to return that to you all in a great way, But skipping that was it for the announcement, guys. Nothing too major. And as you guys know, if you're new to the podcast, I do look down sometimes because my notes are here and I like to stay on track. So keeping that in mind. All right, so let me give you guys your fun fact, which is actually interesting now that I'm actually looking at it because we'll get into it. Okay, so here's a fun fact. So M&M's turned down product placement in E.T., right? The whole movie E.T. or whatever. So they were offered the chance to feature as I always say this word, the titular alien's favorite candy by Steven Spielberg. But they turned down the offer, or they turned the offer down, as they believed the movie would bomb. Instead, the then unknown Reese's peanut butter cups were used, and this catapulted their product to its current heights. So that is the fun fact. But now that I think about it, I'm sorry, Reese's, but I don't know if I remember that part of that commercial. I don't know, but that was so old. So yeah, that's y'all fun fact. But I know a certain someone who watches the podcast are gonna go crazy because they actually love Reese's little peanut butter cups. But yeah, so okay, guys, so that's the fun fact. All right, so now let's move on to the main part of this, well, we'll say episode and season and stuff like that. I wanted to give you guys something different. So, SirDushon, right? I'm sorry. I just talked with him earlier and I just love his name. So there's going to be a lot of energy when I say his name. So when I said it, I had to pause myself and was like, respect. Okay. So who is SirDushon, right? All right. So he's a light worker who specializes in directing, cinematography, editing, and sound design in hopes to open that same light within beings that come across his content, which is superb, by the way, top quality. Also, he just turned 21, and I just found out he's part of the Taurus gang. So, he's one of the best out there, one of the best, one of my favorite signs, love the Tauruses. And I'm going to end it there because you're going to learn more in this episode. So my man, SirDushon, welcome to the podcast. Tell other people a little bit more about you from what, besides from what I just read, but welcome again.
First and foremost, thank you for having me. This is truly an honor. Love aligning and those frequencies coming together. So thank you. More about myself. I mean, sheesh, let me see. Where do I even start? Well, for one, content creating has been like an amazing outlet. I mean, just as of recent, I've gotten so much deeper into like animations and truly honing into things that I feel weren't really tangible in the aspect of like visions or utilizing superpowers. So it's like now I'm able to implement more of like, hey, if I want to teleport in this area, I know how to do it now. Like I just put a bow and arrow in one of my last videos and I was like, dude, like I made a gesture. There was no real bow and arrow in my hand, but the fact that I was like, okay, let me draw this out, put it in my hand and like fully make it come to life. I'm noticing even with like my sound implementation where I'm able to really bring these animations and like these visions to life. So, I mean, getting into like animation, like that's super fun. I mean, I'm trying to think what else, like I don't know. I'm learning more. I've learned more about myself. I love reading a lot more. Like this has been really interesting. I'm definitely tapping more into like information and like becoming more introspective. Like this being 21 now, like I've even said this yesterday to like my aunt, my uncle. I was like, yo, like this year, like with all the things that like 21 brings, where it's like, oh, you can drink now and oh, you can do this and go to clubs. It's like none of that even interests me at this point. So it's just like, what is it that I can do to grow into 21 and truly like live up to what this means, at least in regards to me? Like, what are the things that like contribute to my growth and development as a being, rather than just being like, oh yeah, let me just go out and just like, yeah, let me go into this. Like, so yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. I don't know if that covers a lot, but like, that's just the basis of where I am right now, literally.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it really is like to think because like I said, you just turned 21 and 2021. So it's just like with everything like you said that just happened, it's just like, yeah, like you're growing, you're growing, not growing up, but you're growing
Mm,
like up in a time where there's so much change happening. We just got
yeah.
out of the whole, I'm gonna call it a panorama. I don't call it a pandemic, but we just got
I
out of the,
love that.
whole
Yeah.
panorama, pandemonium. We just got through all of that. We're still going through it, whatever.
Yeah.
And just this time period, there's so much that's like happening and changing.
Absolutely.
So it's just like you're growing and you're changing and you're learning all these things while the world around you is changing and growing as well. So it's
Uh,
pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I think one of
Yeah.
the big things too is like having to develop a stronger sense of like adaptability to everything that's happening around you. Cause it's like, how are you able to function as a being in the midst of so much change happening around you? And
Mhm.
it's like, where do you get sucked in, or where do you set boundaries and barriers to allow yourself to not get sucked in? Like where are those limitations that allow you to truly hone into that self and like, and truly be? Cause I've seen where it's like, even with the panorama, which I love that you call it that. Like I've seen where it's either brought the best out of people or it's brought like the worst out of people. And it's like having the choice ultimately to either utilize whatever friction is being like showcased, especially in the midst of like your environment. Like, how are you able to like choose that grounding? Where is your foundation? So like that's definitely everything. That's something that I've learned to go, okay, like this is a lot of weirdness, a lot of like the energy in the air, like it's so chaotic, but like how are you able to ground yourself within that and like truly like hone into that? So yeah, 100%,
You
100%.
you hit a lot right there because when you said like, everything that was going on through this whole just panorama of things, it's just like it really did show you a lot. And it's like a lot of people have thrived from this. And
Yeah, yeah,
some, and it's their thrive. There's so much now opportunity of things. And then, like you said, it brung out some people who, just brung out the worst in them. And
yeah,
so it really is like revealing so much. And I kind of like to look at it from a perspective of like it really shows what's going on internally with you, and
yeah,
like the perception that you're going with. Like, are you going with, okay, yeah, all of this is happening, but am I going to focus on the opportunities or the positives,
right,
or am I going to focus on all the craziness, and brings your energy down? And
yeah,
granted, it is a very serious thing. In the beginning, I didn't think it was,
yeah,
but so it's just what you're going to focus on and what you're going to give your energy towards. And so
yeah,
it's just really showing and revealing a lot of that. But like you really hit it, you really hit the nail on the head with that.
yeah.
And that's pretty awesome, bro. I must say, I always say this, and everyone is like, you sound so old, but I'm not. But it's just like, just at your age, I
Mm.
can just tell like how you're speaking, like you're already like past your years. If that makes sense.
Oh
You
wow,
know?
I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
it's been interesting hearing that though, because I think for me it came to a point where like I wanted to seek more of like myself. I wanted to understand more of my placement, like my purpose in existence. What does it serve? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Like what's this direction essentially? So it became like this huge driving force into like understanding more of like spirituality, understanding more about like your awareness, your presence, truly understanding that like time is non-existent. Like the only moment that we have is now. And then like our brain patterns and understanding like how the brain talks, how the brain speaks, and how it gets you to latch on to certain ideas and narratives that will pull you into like alternate directions, things like that. So really honing in. I mean, 2020, that was like the basis where I was just like, okay, what can I learn here? That I'm reading books and now I'm learning about like my presence and oh, okay, cool. Like my creativity showcases itself more in this platform or more in this area where I'm more focused and honed into, I don't know, different colors, different sound pieces. I'm pulling inspiration from different sources that I didn't know existed or I didn't know that I had access to. Like that accessibility really opened itself. So it was like, honestly, like 2019, like it was very straight and narrow, kind of black and white, kind of sort of having a bit of awareness. But then 2020 was like, all right, let's shed that, let's get rid of this. Now here's like a new platform of energy that you can kind of curate and understand more of that self. So like honestly, it's crazy even hearing that come like, yo, like that kind of happened within the span of like a year. Like if we were to have a conversation in 2019, I'm sure it would be like a lot different, but like it's interesting hearing that. So yeah, that's crazy.
A year? Like all of that in a year?
Yeah, because the thing was, it was like I went through this weird phase of like, oh, who am I? Like I didn't know who I was. I had dreads. Literally, I had dreads, like just like you, I had dreads. And it was like I saw where, and I had a conversation about this too, where that dynamic kind of switched, but like I saw where my hair was holding a lot of energy. And at that point, like there was so much going on and there was a lot of like losslessness within myself. So it was like, what can I do to like step forward within this? And there was, I remember it was July 2nd when my third eye opened. Like I physically felt it open. And this came with like information that like made me look at life in a fully flipped perspective. It was like, hey, what you thought was this, what you thought was this, and everything that you were following, let's crush all of that. Just the universe was like, nope, none of that's real. So it was like, what is real? So then that became like that standpoint of like, okay, I need to search and figure out what this reality essentially is in a tangible form that I can actually grasp it and like hold on to it. Because at that point it was like, how are you just gonna throw my reality away? You're just gonna just knock it out and then that's just it. Like you can't just do that. So then at that point it was like, okay, boom, I shaved my head. And then at that point, it was like, now go more in this direction where you're feeling this light tugging you. Go more in this direction where you know at this place you were supposed to talk. You're supposed to talk to that person. You know that you were supposed to hear that. You know that you're now fully building your intuition and those intuitive nudges of like, hey, you know you're not supposed to be over here. You know you're supposed to talk to this person. You know you're supposed to open that gateway that allows you to be more receptive to information. Like see how this can alter your perspective. So it became more. It was like a much more open space for growth. It was like I was finally allowing it. So yeah, within that time span, it was like from I want to say like July 2019 up until like I mean now because the growth never stops. It's always like an ongoing game. But it's like I saw where like it was so primary 2020 where it was like okay, we're in the house. We're not really distracted. There's not much distractions. Now it's like okay, I'm constantly creating. I'm constantly in search for more information that would allow me to push myself forward within my like development. Because it's like okay, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna sit here and do nothing, or are you gonna contribute to something? So yeah, throughout 2020, like I can give myself some credit in regards to the things that I've known previously, but 2020 was like that year of like, okay, let's put our foot down in something that will ground you, like a stronger sense of foundation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful, bro. That's
Yeah.
really powerful.
Yeah.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's just like, damn, all this in a year. But like you said, like you in a year going inwards, focusing on yourself, like you said, having this foundation, grounding yourself, like as you're speaking, I can just feel a lot of like the work that you put in and the changes that you implement, and it's just like, damn, that's badass, bro. I must say, but I love how the biggest thing, and I don't think people give this much credit, but the biggest thing that I want to highlight that I love is how you listened, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of people don't listen, you know,
Yeah.
they'll feel it, but they don't do nothing. They'll toss it away, but you listen and you know, you kept going forward with it, and you
Yeah.
know, it's great that that's where you started with it and continuing to listen. That's how far like you came along with it. So I find that to be super super awesome. that's amazing, honestly, just that whole story. So yeah, bro, that makes a lot of sense. And
Appreciate
I, of course, bro, of course. Like I would even say too, like your content just I think what was the first one? Which I mean let them know. Okay, so guys, so
it.
let me go into this because I know I'm gonna give him so many compliments. So all right, so how we are connected is actually through TikTok, which um a few months ago I was not a TikTok person. I was just like, I don't. Everyone would send me these TikTok videos. I'm like, I don't. Why do you send me this? And they was like, you should download. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do this. And I eventually did. Don't regret it at all.
Mm.
And fast forwarding, I think the first episode. I think I was working at a different place then. I was working at Walgreens. Um, and I think I was, what did I do? It was something. I don't know. It was like a period where I was just like over it. And so I think I seen your video, the one where he's like nephew, and like
Yeah.
it's the fighting and things like that. I was just
Yeah.
looking, I was like, oh my gosh, like these effects. And I was like rewatching it. I'm just like, this and it
Yeah.
literally boosted like my day that I was just like,
Wow.
yeah, bro, because I was just like, I like how he did that. And then it was funny. I like I said, I love the whole energy of it. And then like I said, went to work, energy was boosted. Because I'm like managing and stuff like that at a time. And everyone was just like, oh, you're in a good mood. I was like, yeah, yeah, we're gonna keep it at that. And it was just funny.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. Like you literally boosted that whole day. And I was like, okay, I gotta follow this guy. And I think after when I got off work or something like that, I was like, okay, you know, I seen it and I was like, let me see more of his like his content and stuff. And it was
Mm.
just like the effects that you had and just the subtle messages that I seen, and then like, you know, your main message that you had on there. And it was just like just all of the cool effects. I'm just like, when I look at his content, I feel good. Like I feel it was just really awesome. And so like I said, I was following and I seen all the stuff. Um I seen your Instagram and things like that too.
Mhm.
So it was just cool, like because I know sometimes TikTok with their videos, I know most of it sometimes you have to watch it on Instagram. So
Yeah.
but I seen more. So it was more, I think, on there than it was on TikTok. So it was kind of cool seeing your development. I think I did see
Yeah.
like how you were before and then
Yeah.
how you transition. It was just like I see his whole like transformation, like you know, pieces of it. It
Wow.
was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That's dope. Oh my, wow. I mean, was so interesting, and I think you were actually in this live when I was speaking about it. But anytime I'm making a video, like ultimately I've had to understand, and this has come through like the experience of learning more of myself. It got to a point where I had to understand that like these videos are not for me. Like I create them, but it's not for me. It's for the audience. It's for, you know, those that are being receptive to it. So it's so crazy hearing like how it can boost your day or how it provides some sort of energy. Because as I'm creating it, like I kid you not, like the first steps, right? So I'll shoot the video and I'm like, all right, cool. I have the idea. It comes through. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, mind you, I can't take any credit because all of it comes from like my ancestors, my angels that I'm speaking to, like everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, I start with it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then my mind just starts going ham. And it's like, yo, this is trash. Like, this is so shit. Don't do this. This color's bad. What are you doing? Like, this doesn't even look right. And it's like, I'll be in certain pockets where it's like, I'll be editing for like maybe like 4 or 5 hours. And it's like, first 2 hours is like pretty cool. Then it gets to like that third hour. And it's like, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I should post it. Like, this is weird. Like, it doesn't feel right. But then I've learned to go, okay, if I don't like this, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna do something about it where I can actually like it.
Yeah.
So it's like getting to the final product, and I'm like, okay, cool, this is actually great. And then seeing the receptivity, I'm not consciously like, oh, this is helping someone in their day, or this is giving someone inspiration. So when I'm hearing it, I'm just like, really? Like, what? Like that's possible, that's working. So just to hear that, like that's absolutely amazing. So thank you for being receptive. Like that's really dope. That's wow. That's everything. Literally. That's Wow, it's so strange hearing it, but thank you. That's cool. Really cool.
Bro, of course. I mean, now, because I was telling you before, I was like, there's something I had to tell you. So I'm going to tell you now
Yeah,
because it ties into this. Um, so brace yourself.
yeah,
So before, um, what was it? Like I said in the announcement, because I was gone for a little minute. And like I said, I was following your content, and I think it was a little minute. Because I was on TikTok and I was doing other stuff. And I think you had just posted something,
yeah,
and I literally was like, I missed you. I don't know if you remember that comment, but I was like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, because you
Oh
posted.
yeah,
I was like, I missed you, man. I was because it was just like I was watching other stuff, but I was just, vibing and work life stuff like that. And I was
yeah,
like, damn, like, okay, let's see what this, what do you gotta do?
yeah,
So um, you did that, and then I think you did another video after that. I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to get the timing right. But
yeah,
I remember that. And then I was on live, or I was on your live, and I
yeah,
was just chilling at that point. And so, you know, hearing you and connecting with you on the live and just seeing like how you interact with people and just like, getting a feel of your energy, I was like, he has awesome energy. I was just like the way he speaks, the way he talks to people, just like this love that he has and the authenticity that you were just sharing with people. That's a big thing for me. Is like when people who are authentic,
yeah.
and I can feel it, and I can, because you can pick up on stuff, and I'm just like, I love his energy. You're the first person that whose live I've actually been on for like more than 2 minutes, if that, because some people's lives are so boring, and I'm just like, not life, but their live streams
Yeah,
are
yeah, you
so
know,
boring.
yeah, yeah.
Had to catch
No, I
myself.
felt that. Yeah, yeah,
Some of theirs are so boring, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. But yours, it was just like really cool, and just connecting with you, and then just like you were sharing stuff, and I was like, I gotta connect with him. I'm like, I just like his energy. And that's when I think I was actually like, you were open, to being on an episode, and we talked, and send the information. But it was literally after that live, because I had to go to bed because I know we're on a 3 hour difference.
yeah.
So and we're both night people, I see. So you're up late. I'm like, I'm up late, so it works out. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it was right after I got off the live that something like clicked, and it was it like how your content and just how your energy was, it literally opened up something like, and re-sparked something in me, where it was just like, I miss this, because I haven't been recording for a few weeks now, because there's just other stuff that I had to focus on.
Yeah.
There was, life stuff, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I should do an episode, but I was like, eh. But what you sparked in me was like, damn, it was really fun just connecting with him just on the live. And I was like, I missed that, because I'm like, that's my gift. I love connecting with people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that fun is what I lost during like some weeks back, just because of other stuff I had to focus on. And so I was just like, that was a very like his energy. I'm like, damn. I was like, and that's when it hit me. I lost my fun. Like, I used to do this for the fun, and I lost that. And I'm like, damn. But I'm like, okay, now I know why I've been like, okay, I'll record. And I did, because I'm like, I lost the fun into it.
Yeah.
But after connecting with you and your content and stuff like that, you sparked that. And that's when like I was like, okay, I have to connect with him. And so
Wow.
because of you, literally, I'm back into like recording again. So I was just like, I had to let you know that. I was like, whenever I connect with him, I gotta let him know that, like, whenever we're like talking on here. But I want to say thank you, because honestly, bro, like I said, been focused on other stuff, and I realized that I lost that aspect. And so
Wow.
I want to say thank you just for being yourself and just doing your thing and your energy. So I want to share that with you, my man.
Wow. That is everything. Wow. That's so dope. Okay. I'm receiving, but at the same time, I'm like, bro, like that's beautiful just from that connectivity, just seeing that like your distribution into connecting with others and seeing where yeah, we have those moments where like things fall out or that inspiration or whatever it is, that key light point is like it's dropped. But like to see that be restored and like my contribution to it, because I'm just like, yo, I just love talking and just like engaging. So to see that work, like, bro, once again, thank you for being receptive to that energy. Like, I'm just happy to see you like back in action with that. That's, bro, that's really dope. I think what's crazy, even with you saying that, because even with your comment, when you were saying like, yo, I missed you, man. What's crazy is like in those weeks that I was gone, like I had to step back. And reason being was because like I was in this was before I had turned 21. So I was in this like interesting phase of like, okay, what is it that I need to shed from 20 that I know I can't take in going into 21? Like, what are these key few, like, what are these pinpoints that I know wouldn't serve me walking into this new age where there's all this newness that I have to be open and receptive to? Like, how am I going to make space for that? So what was interesting was like, I had gone on this trip and I was like, okay, I want to be shown my darkness. I want to be shown the inner parts that I haven't seen, haven't been tended to, all these different things. And so when it was showcased to me, I was like, oh, wow, okay. There's a lot of things that I've needed to look at that I've willingly ignored through like escapism, through victimization, like all these different things that like were just hidden because of like distractions, through like content creating, through all these different things that were so normalized, that were so placed in patterns. So I had to realize a lot of mistakes that I had made, a lot of false concepts of like trying to reach perfectionism, especially with dealing with spirituality, because I like firmly, I didn't believe in the idea of like free will. It was just like, oh no, all my decisions and everything is just through the universe and everything is, and like having to understand like, no, you have a choice. You have a choice in regards to how you're speaking and whatever you're doing, whatever you eat, whatever placement that you're in within your existence, that's all by choice. So having to acknowledge my mistakes and having to really look at that inner darkness and going, okay, well, I need to pick these things apart. I need to look at where it roots from, looking at the different portions of what has been ignored and how to tend to them, understanding the grieving phase of that old self. Like I just learned the other day from this TikTok, which TikTok is great for this because my For You page is all spiritual people. Like I go in there and I'm like, first 3 videos, I'm like, wow, I feel better. This is great. Like, let's go. But like he was speaking in regards to when you're growing into that new person, you're going to feel weird. You're going to feel off, and that's okay. And we ultimately perceive that as we're doing something wrong. And it's like, no, the thing that we don't realize is that we have to consider with grieving our old self, it's like watching a death. That old person has to die. So it's like that feels weird. You're going back and forth between that old thing and these new patterns. And it's like you're constantly at battle with it. So I took like, this was May 5th was when it all hit me. And I was like, okay, I need to step back completely. Like this isn't, I couldn't truly distribute any type of authenticity because I didn't even know what it was. It was like my reality, pretty much like how when my third eye opened, it was like, once again, reality check. Everything that you thought you knew, wipe it. Let's get rid of it completely. So it was like, okay, what are these rebuilding stages? And it was like, I went through a solid, like, I want to say as of recent, it's gotten better, but like crazy amounts of overthinking, crazy dreams, crazy intuitive messages, like all these different things that like I knew I had to like push through. And I'm still working through it today where it's like, okay, acknowledging more of my mistakes, acknowledging where it's come from, acknowledging more of how to tend to it and what are the steps, especially with it not really being taught, because we're really not taught how to heal. Like if we really put it in perspective, we're not, hey, do this, and this, do some shadow work, place this right here, understand that these are the roots and it's okay. Like this is a part of growth. So really understanding those things, I really had to step back and go, okay, how do I approach this again in a sense of not dwelling in that old self? Because it came to a point where I was like, dang, like all these older videos, it was like, that's that other person. Like, how do I address that other person? Or how do I showcase this newer energy? So yeah, with like being away and then posting again and then seeing the comment like, yo, I missed you, man. I was like, dude, like that was so perfect because it was like that return was like, yo, okay, you're working, you're moving. This is something that you can now step your foot back into. So thank you. Like, thank you for distributing that. Cause for me, it was like, okay, in that space of like not creating anymore, in that space of like, who are you without editing? who are you without directing? Who are you without these normalized patterns that have been so routine for you? Like, what are you? And having to navigate that, it's like once I stepped foot back into that, like that welcome was just so like, wow, like thank you. So honestly, thank you. Like that comment and seeing that was just like, wow, okay. Because I mean, in the midst of being that, I'm like, yo, like, am I not going to create anymore? Like, what do I need to hang this up? Is this something that like I might return to later or like whatever it was? So definitely appreciate that. So I'm throwing that at you. Like, thank you. That was super dope.
Yeah, man. No, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Again, that whole everything you just said was powerful. Like just with the starting point, like you said, I wanted to see my darkness. That is everything. And a lot of people don't want to face it. And it's just like, I'm telling you, I like when I work with people, sometimes I'm just like, hey, if you just open up that dark side of yours and actually learn from it, you'll see that that dark side is probably one of your best friends because it's helping you to heal. It's helping you to like, hey, this is a part of you that
Yeah.
I'm bringing to your attention that needs your energy, needs your assistance, needs your, your time and healing and things like that. And the fact that you wanted to do that and you did it, and of course we all still do it, and things like that. And that's superb, bro. That's huge because again, some people, they're not comfortable or ready to open that door, but you're like, yeah, I want to know this. And I love what you said, like how you just gonna throw my whole reality away. And it's like,
Yes, so literally, it's so like heavy and just like, yep, okay, all that you thought you knew, all that you essentially perceive in regards to all the steps you were taking, these words, all the things that you had developed. Let's just throw this right out and just let
Mhm.
it and boom. And what are you gonna do about it? The biggest thing. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You got a choice. You always have choices. That's just been like, and I love how you said that, like you didn't think, and now like, oh, my decisions are this, and it's just like, nah, like you can choose, and that's awesome. That's really awesome. It says a lot, man. Your energy and flow is definitely, I will say, reflected like in your work.
Thank
I
you.
think what was one episode that it was the serious one, but I was cracking up at how like true it is. Like it was the one, not the one with you said your mind, like you're not your mind. It was one, I think it was about the food, like the stuff that they put in food and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
like how you said it,
Yeah.
I was just like, he's right. Because
Yes.
I was like, yep. And it was just, and like, I don't know, it was just like he's absolutely right. And like people are just, yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. I love your content, man. I really do. I really do. Like like I said, I look forward to when you're posting something. It's top notch. Top notch.
Thank you. That means everything. Like literally, even as I described like the process of like making videos, I have like 3 or 4 videos stacked, and like I have days where I'm super excited, like okay, cool, I'm about to create, and then it's like that little cloud comes over, and it's just like, nah, you're not gonna do it. So then hearing like I've gotten so many messages as recent, like bro, please keep posting. Like this helps me, and this is that. So seeing the receptivity, like once again, I cannot thank you enough because there's so many moments where I know I need to hear or feel that. So thank you. That's everything.
Of course,
Like,
bro. Of course, of course. I would say it's amazing that again, this is why I love your authenticity, is that you are open and you're sharing something that, most people go through, is that cloud.
yeah,
It comes through when we're like, no one really knows what happened before this final product was out.
yes,
So,
yeah,
like you have the idea, and then it's like in that part of doing it, like you have the thoughts, oh, should I do this? And the fact that you do get through the cloud, you know what I mean, is awesome. And knowing that, okay, yeah, you're at the same time you're building the resistance and or capacity to get through it, and okay, this is coming. I'm gonna have this thought, whatever, da, da, da.
yeah.
But you have the proof of your content, which is cool. Like you have the proof of your content of like, hey, this is what happens when you do get through that cloud, all of this. And it's cool.
Yeah.
That's really
I mean,
cool.
thank you for that though, because I mean, even through like that process of going through those weeks and like having to kind of recalibrate what authenticity meant to me, or at least getting back to that point of understanding it a bit more, I've had to openly address more of the things that like do bother me, openly address like my mistakes. And it's like seeing where that helps people, like, oh, like you feel shitty like that too. Like that's something that's like real. And like it's interesting because it's like with having this like I call it, I got knocked off like my spiritual high horse. Like it was like, okay, this is no longer like, it's not like, oh, everything is just positive and happy. Like, no, like explain and express those days where you do not feel like creating and you don't know why. And it's frustrating. You're crying. Like I have plenty of moments where like, I'm just like, yo, I need to cry. I have to let it out and I'll do it. And it's like, okay, cool. I got it out. It was a great release. Like express those days. Understand that like you trying to prevent people from seeing that is really hindering your purpose essentially, because it's like you distributing more of that helps other people understand like, oh, what I'm feeling is okay, because essentially the person that I'm looking to in regards to inspiration or whatever it is that you're able to take from it, it helps in that sense of relatability. Like I've seen that operate, especially for people that like I look up to, that have helped me with people making mistakes and being like, oh wow, like okay, you've made mistakes like that, okay, cool, let me take that in and understand like, okay, this is a part of moving forward, this is a part of like your growth. So it's crazy getting to that point and having to understand, okay, this is actually more helpful. It's helpful being able to distribute more of the things that you feel that you don't necessarily want to share. Because the thing that I've even had to realize myself, especially in regards to comparison and like social media and how bad it is that social media hones the biggest amount of highlight reels, where you're never going to showcase like your worst day. You're never going to showcase any of that. It's always cool, I'm happy and this and that, and I'm over here and I got this and I'm doing this. And it's like, okay, what happened in between that? What happened when you posted that and your face went from a smile to a frown
Mm-hmm.
immediately, or a smile to you're overthinking about something? Like I have those moments all the time. So it's like being able to distribute that, I've just seen where it helps more. So thank you for that, because I'm really working on trying to be more honest and authentic in that point, considering that like it's just been a full streak of like, oh, and be positive, even though like today really sucked. But I'm feeling that me being positive in a sense can give you some hope, but having to understand like, yeah, that's cool when it's needed, but at the same time like be able to address when you do feel those dark moments, so that people can go, oh, this isn't just someone that's always happy and positive. Like, no, he has those moments as well. And so that brings more of that foundation of like, yeah, this is more real. It feels more real. Like that authenticity is definitely something. So yeah, thank you for that. That's dope.
But of course, my man, you definitely show. Hey, you've been working on it. You definitely showcase it. Like when we were in the live, like just like how you were saying, like how you feel about certain things. It was just really cool. I was just like, wow, like he's saying this. This is he's hitting on the facts that you're hitting on the things that are important, because most people will get on social media or the TikToks to escape certain things, feelings and stuff like that. And you're saying like, I feel this way. Like you'll say, I feel this way like all the time. It was one thing you said, but I'm not gonna say it because you said it, and I just feel like I'm just telling you business. You know what I mean? But
You're good, you're good. Yeah,
it was just cool, just hearing you just express yourself and how you really feel. It was like, wow, like that brings people gravitates people more towards you just by being authentic and things like that. So
yeah.
I like that. I like that. Which I just remember. Okay, I forgot. I have all these questions to ask you.
Yeah.
Which is no, this was great.
We went to a symphony. That was perfect. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
beautiful. It was beautiful. I was like, wait, I didn't even flip the page. Okay, I do have. Okay, first question, because I think you said this, and I just want to verify it.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
Okay. So for the absolute longest, and this was, I want to say, I think it started at like 17. I was like, oh, I'm like 6'6". I think finally at the age of 21, I'm 6'6".
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Because I was seeing your videos, but you don't really think about it too much. But then I see
Yeah.
you're live and I see you next to the fridge, but I didn't think much of it because I know I'm a tall person too.
Yeah.
And they was like, oh wow, like, I think someone commented, it was like, oh, like you can see over the bridge. I'm like, well, yeah, like, but
Yeah.
I'm 6'5", so it was just like,
Oh, fire. Yeah.
yeah. When I think I was like, I never, that's normal in my world, so I never questioned
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
feel it.
I was like, oh, that's a short person thing. You can't see over that.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yo, that's actually funny though, because I was walking with my mom in the store and out of nowhere I saw like this really tall guy and I was like, is that how I look? Like, is that how tall I really look? Like, and so that threw me for a spin because I'm like, in the midst of being in this shell, this body, this flesh encasing, you're not cognizant of like all the details of you. So then when seeing someone else that was tall, I was like, dang, he's tall. But then I go, but I'm tall too because we're at eye level. Like this is crazy. So that's actually interesting. Like hearing that. Like yeah, that's a short person thing. That's amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
It is.
You're 6'5", so how's your experience been with being tall? Like, have you had like growing pains? Like, has that been a thing?
No growing pains. I've from people who, before me, not in a family, but it's just people who are tall. I know that they would say as they got older, their back and stuff. So what I did for me was just for preventative measures. I just like to do yoga just to
Yeah.
stretch and
Yeah.
prevent any of that, but I also enjoy it. Um, I would say the only thing I would say is kind of like my knee, but that's because of like working. And I also think I'm
Yeah.
flat-footed too. So there's that. But
For that, yeah.
but again, stretching, and I try not to do nothing too crazy, but yeah, no growing pains. Yeah, no, none of that. But I enjoy it 90% of the times. The 10% that I hate it is on a plane.
Yes.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah, the knees, a car, but at
Yeah.
least you got shotgun, but still it depends on the
Still.
car.
Yeah.
And the days where you're like feeling really shitty and you don't want to deal with nobody, but because you're tall, you stand out, so they're gonna recognize you regardless of what you put on.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Spot on.
that's those are the only times. But I can't help the third one. The mask kind of did. I could put a hoodie on, dress
Mhm.
differently, but even then they'll look and
Oh, yeah.
but one advice, it was a mentor at the time. He told me, he was like, well, for the other things, he was like, what did he say? He was like, just build your business, make the money, you don't have to worry about that. I was like, oh well,
Wow.
okay. He was like, first class will solve the plane. I was, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Go. Yeah.
Okay. He was like,
Yeah.
bigger car, that would or truck, that would help. Like,
Truck.
okay.
Yeah. I feel that.
He was like,
100%.
the simplicities. He was like, now the other part I can't really help you with this. You're just friendly. I'm like,
Yeah.
gotta shop different places.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it though. That's all I got on mine. What about you? Like, you have any your
Well,
pluses, negatives?
I mean, let me see, because those were spot on. I mean, the whole plane thing, like definitely with having to try and angle your knees and like trying to do all the adjustments and it not working and then trying to find the way. That's been that. Car, same thing. Like people getting mad that you're in shotgun, but then understanding because it's like, yo, you're not about to sit in the back seat where you're more crunched in. So definitely that. I mean, definitely the whole standout thing is absolutely 100% accurate because it's like you're a booming figure amongst a lot of beings that are seemingly much smaller. So
Yeah.
standing out 100%. Didn't have any growing pains either, which is actually surprising to hear on your end because I've always been asked, like, you have growing pains? I'm like, no, never. But it's like everyone else that's been tall, I've heard that like they've had growing pains or crazy, things in their knees and stuff like that. So that's interesting to hear. Like that we ride on the same track, same frequency on that one.
Yeah.
Trying to think. I mean, it's always been cool being asked, like, hey, can you like grab that for me? I'm just like, yeah, I got you. Like, all right. Yeah. Like doing that has always been cool. I mean, being able to see over everything has been dope. I mean, putting people on my shoulders and whatnot. I love raves. So like raves are always dope. Like being able to see over everything, having a clear view. I mean, I don't really know much of the negatives. I think the only negative is like really standing out, but it's like, I mean, I have bleached blonde hair, septum piercings and everything. So there's already so much that's present with this. So I mean, that kind of comes with the territory.
Comes with
But
the territory. Yeah,
yeah,
it's how you use it. It's how you.
that's I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think other than that, I mean, a lot of pluses. The pluses just like just being there, being able to have more of that accessibility of, okay, I'm up here. My neck is long too, so that adds more to it. So it's like I
I
have
seen
like
you say that. I was like, you were cracking me up on the live when you said this.
yeah.
It's long, so.
Oh yeah. I forget it too. I'm like, oh yeah, like my neck has a lot of like length to it. So okay, cool. There's more, accessibility with that. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it with that. Tall
Oh,
people.
man. Yeah, tall people stuff. I think you said like in the live too, you were like your was it your spirit animal or favorite animal was a giraffe? Because you said like because of how tall you are. I was
Yes.
like, I like that. I
No,
like that.
literally that came along with like being the tallest person at school. So like the only thing people can relate you to in regards to animals like a giraffe. It's like, oh my God. And then too, my neck was super long. And it's like I just recently, like I want to say the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years, where like I've fully grown into my head because my head had always been much bigger than my body. So finally grew into my head, and then my neck, the proportions finally make sense. So it's no longer like, dang, your neck really stands out. It's like, okay, this kind of goes all together. So with giraffe, it was like your neck long. So it was like giraffe. That was always a thing. So kind of just embodied it like at that point.
Got you. Okay. All right. I see that. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another question with this, and I'll ask you the next one. But have you
Yeah.
ever had? No offense, short people. Have you ever had a short person automatically just come up to you and say, "I don't like you because you're tall"?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And I'm just like,
Literally.
I already know what you're gonna say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's because I'm tall. I get it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
went to this was actually in December. This was right before 2020 hit, and I was at this rave, and we're chilling, and raves are beautiful. Like the community is so beautiful, the energy, the expression. Like that's really where I was able to like pinpoint a lot of my freedom. Which shout out to my boy Max because he brought me to my first rave, and honestly, that changed my entire perspective of like life and like love and music, frequency, everything. So we're there, and like we're in like this tent, and we're chilling, we're getting ready to go into one of the sets and whatnot. And this guy, like much shorter than me, he walks up and it just goes, man, I don't like you. Just like full on, just like, I don't like you. And I was like, what? Why? He was like, because you're so damn tall. And I
Yeah.
was like, I know, it's cool. And then we hugged it out, and it's super cool. Like people there are so cool, but like just those experiences, it's hilarious because I get it. It's like, I know. It's cool though.
I
You know,
get it.
that's how it be.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that. Arms crossing. Oh, I don't like him. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hello to you as
Yeah.
well. But y'all end
The
up being the best of
introduction.
friends. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it all the
100%.
time. Mm-hmm. Still have friends to this day have a whole attitude. Man, you don't do nothing with that height. Like, if you play
Oh
sports,
my God. Yes. Yes.
like, okay, because somewhere down the line, we thought because you're tall, you can just do sports. Like, so what happened before the sports? Like,
Right. Yeah. Before
what
that was the concept, what was there?
where yeah, because you're giving me, I'm wasting my blessing
Right.
because I'm
Yes.
not playing a sport that you want to play, but you're
Yes.
not up to par. Like you're
Yeah.
I'm sensing a little projection, but
Yes. That's
okay.
very much a projection. Go ahead and keep that. Go
You
ahead.
know, right. But
Yeah.
but you're short though, so you have benefits, and then they're like, what are you talking about? You can fit anywhere, no
Yes.
special clothing or shoes if you need that. You can
100%.
blend into the crowd, and they just look at you like, I'm like, I'm like, one day or one lifetime, you'll appreciate these words that I shared with you. But until then,
Absolutely.
so there's that.
Oh
But
yeah.
okay, so regular questions, but for people to get to know you more, so like, where did you grow up? That's a good question.
I grew up. Oh wait, hey bud. This is my cousin. Hey, we're doing a podcast. We're doing a podcast. He's in a blanket. Here, Jeremiah. Here, go downstairs. There you go. He's in a blanket. He's full on ghost. That's actually amazing.
I love it.
But I'm let me see. Grew up in. It's interesting. I was in different portions. Let me see. I grew up in Gardena, California. Like that
Okay.
was a base point for a bit. Then it switched to Torrance, and then now it's Anaheim. So I would say Anaheim is like my true grounding point. Like that's where it's at. Jeremiah, no, Jeremiah, go downstairs. Go downstairs. See, this is the universe talking. Anytime things like this happen, I just be knowing, like, okay, there's something. That's the soundtrack. He's the cutest, most energetic 2-year-old ever.
I love it. I
But
love
yeah,
it. It
but yeah,
reminds me of
Anaheim has been my stomping grounds where I've spent most of my time, and like where everything is truly developed in regards to like understanding more of myself and ultimately pulling out more of like my like I don't know like my own creativity, where it was like I've seen where beforehand in like other areas where it was just like, okay, I'm focusing more on like dancing, for example. Like I was super into dancing, super into like pop lock and freestyle and everything. And it was like once I transitioned, it was like, okay, now there is more artistry into like your visuals. Like I began to shoot videos, I began to get into editing and stuff like that. So yeah, this Anaheim has been like the stomping ground for that.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I have to come over on that side of the country one day and like go around there. It'd be pretty interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's okay. Second question. What inspires your content?
Well, that's a great one. Let me see. Definitely like life experiences. Honestly, it's been and I actually saw a comment on one of my videos. I think it was like my recent fighting one. And it was like, yo, this is like a full visual representation of like fighting like that shadow self. And I was like, yes, like that's spot on, because it's like I didn't even really conceptualize it as that, but I can see where this like constant battle back and forth with like my two selves is a clear representation of that, because that's constantly what I'm like going through. Like as of right now, that's a constant maneuver of like, okay, what are these things within that shadow self that I can remove? So it's like through my experiences of like, okay, I'm feeling something, or at a point where I'm like, yo, I would love to like shoot myself with like a laser and then like do a spin kick and then reverse it. And then with me being engulfed by like this energy, such as my animations, that's like a representation of like me being sucked in and then me getting fully pulled in. It's like going, okay, cool, let's do that. And then kind of losing the concept in mind and kind of just going and letting it be. But like that being like the root, it's crazy. So like, yeah, like life experiences. I mean, I've watched a lot of like, let me see, what's like my catalog right now? Like I've been watching a lot more, I want to say like editing in regards to like animations, but like I don't know, it's the main source of inspiration is honestly like my daily experiences, because that's really where my ideas come from. I mean, something is, I don't know if you saw, but it's like a video of like me glitching around.
Yeah, I see. No,
Yeah.
those are so cool.
So that's come from like me playing video games and having trash internet. Like literally,
Ah,
it's like when you're playing a game and your internet is like going up and down, your character will stop and then lag somewhere else and then come somewhere else. So it's like, how can I bring that into like reality? And it's like, okay, I can just literally shoot a video where I'm jumping on one end, stopping, throwing myself on the ground, getting up, throwing myself on the ground again, jumping off the couch, like doing something else, and then chopping it up to where it's just like blocks of different pieces of footage. And
yeah.
it's like, okay, cool. That was my experience once upon a time trying to play my PS4, and then like out of nowhere it just stopped working. Like so, like things like that where it's just like it's all implementation of just like whatever's going on. So like yeah, it's really just that. Like that's the primary source of it. It's interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I like that. Like I do actually remember that like that was one of the ones when like I seen you just doing it. It was just like you jumping, and then I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like looking, I'm like, what's going on? And I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this definitely. And I was thinking like a game was like, yeah, this definitely reminds me of a game. Like you're like, I need you to work, and then like it happened. I was like, I think it was like the ending how you had. I was like, yeah, I like that. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That was
No,
good.
that's yeah. Those concepts. My God.
Yeah. No, okay, okay. I like that. I like that. So, okay, third question is, when did you start making videos?
Ooh. Let me see. That's a great question. We digging the crates for this one. Let's see. I want to say like because I know that I had like I began shooting. Okay, that's the accurate answer. I used to watch this YouTuber by the name of Niga Higa, like Ryan Higa. Like this is like the old YouTube, like 20. I'm about to say 20, yeah, 2010, like 2008 to like 2010, like Ryan Higa, Kev Jumba, Dietrix, there's all these different YouTubers, and they were like their skits were like everything to me. And I
Yeah.
remember at a point being like, okay, I want to try this. And I remember I was 10 and I had picked up my grandma's like old video camera. Now the way that like the videos were edited at that point, it was all like cuts and everything. So I know that on the camera, I didn't know how I was gonna put it together, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot one scene and I'm gonna stop it, and I'm gonna go
Yeah.
somewhere else, I'm gonna shoot it and I'm gonna stop it.
Yeah.
And then somehow I was thinking like maybe in the camera settings I can like piece it together, it can become one thing, but like I just remember vividly picking up the camera and just going, okay, I want to act out exactly what I've been seeing in these videos and just in my own form. So I remember trying to like act out this one skit by Ryan, the actual creator, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do like this, I'm gonna put this hat on, and then say this and this, and then stop it, and then see how this like progresses forward. And then it wasn't until I moved. Actually, I had moved from Torrance to Anaheim, and at that point, I had gotten an iPod. It was an iPod fourth generation, and I got it, and I was super excited. I think this was when no, this is before the slow mo feature. But like
Mhm.
I remember getting it, and I was like, okay, like I want to start shooting stuff. So I would just make little videos here and there. It came to a point where this was right before seventh grade. Yeah, it was right before seventh grade. And me and my boy Brandon, we were trying to figure out how to make a video and like just like make our voices high pitched. We're just trying to figure out like, yo, how can we do that and just make our voices like sound super squeaky? Like Fred the YouTuber, like I don't know if you like are familiar, but like all his videos were super high pitched, super squeaky. Like that was his character. So I was like, okay, I think there's like editor programs or apps. I think so, whatever. So we shot the video and I went in the app store and I found this app called Splice. And
Mhm.
from that point on, it was like this whole entire world just opened up where it was like, okay, I have a video. Now I can cut and now I can, split clips in between. Now I know how to adjust sound. Now I know all these different key points to like building a foundation, like a structure to understanding where like, the basis of editing is. And so it was at that point. Yeah, it was literally like a day before seventh grade. I was like, I was 11. Yeah, I was 11. So yeah, it started around that point. And so from that point on, it was like, okay, what else can I use? What else can I get into? And so it was like downloading apps that gave it, a filter. And now I know how to speed up videos. Now I know how to slow them down. Now I know how to like add more effects to them. So it just spiraled from there. So yeah, it started at 11, like firmly like at 11, where it was like, okay, I'm going to continue forth in this. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So you just turned 21. So this was like 10 years ago.
yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Jeremiah. Uh, but yeah, 10 years ago, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay. So now, interesting question is, so how do you connect with other people? So like an example, like do you read like people's energy, you pick up their vibe, and or like you're an extrovert,
Hmm.
introvert, or ambivert? How do you connect with people?
Ooh, okay. Um, I think as of recent, that's actually a great question because as of recent, I've noticed where like my extrovert energy has kind of like hermited a bit based upon me having to try and understand more of myself and seeing where my engagement really is and like trying to navigate that authenticity through like how I distribute it and everything. So definitely have been on the extrovert tip, but as of recent, I'm noticing now like I'm reading more of like body language. I'm reading more of like how is your how is your energy right now in regards to like how you're speaking? Where are these pauses in between like your words? What are these? I'm looking at facial expressions more now, where it's like I'm able to read just different points, especially within myself, because it's like once I had that shock, it was like okay, you've seen all of yourself and I'm seeing more of like how my behavior and how my energy has kind of shifted. So now it's making me more aware as to how others are speaking, or at least in regards to their distribution of whatever they're giving off. And so definitely has been like, I don't know, it's been more of just these little key points of like, okay, how are they how are they turned at this point? What makes them fold their arms? At what point are they getting defensive? At what point are they what point at what point does it strike where their voice raises, or what gets them to go in those symphonies where it's like, oh, like now I'm doing this, it's not like one thing I actually realize is like whenever I go to a store, it's like I'm very keen to asking like, how is your day? How are you feeling today? And I've noticed where like that sparks something, especially if it's something in regards to something that they really want to get out. And it's like watching like a robot getting charged up where it's like they're, hey, what's up? How's your day? And everything. And then it's like you ask that question and it's like, oh, my day is okay. And then like there's a fluctuation, like you can see different patterns within that. So I've really been able to like pay attention more to these patterns just based upon like things that I've felt myself, just from like being like, okay, my behaviors are moving different now. Like now I sit like this when I'm speaking, or I notice that like anytime I feel uncomfortable, I might like rub my feet together. Like I'm noticing different parts of myself that I'm able to now acknowledge within other people. So yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that like really struck it for me in regards to reading energy has been like asking questions or being able to target something that like either someone is really interested in, because if you notice like anytime it comes to something that like really strikes you, that level of like frequency, your voice, your gestures, it just rises. So I think once I saw that and really like was able to pull it in, I was like, okay, like that's something to be read. That's something that's like definitely targeted. So definitely through like it's been a lot of acknowledgement through like gestures, energy, body movement, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely been on more the extroverted tip, but at the same time, like as of right now, it's kind of like let me observe. Let me kind of sit and observe. So that's, I mean, it's interesting doing this right now because this, I feel like this is like the most I've talked. So it's like, I'm more on like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. So thank you for this because it's interesting bringing that back out to me. So that's crazy stuff.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem, man. I like
Yeah.
how you like answer that, and that's awesome. Like you said, extrovert tip and what you're paying attention to, those are definitely big things, especially when connecting with people. Um, I've come to understand too, like when I'm zoned in on a person, just like you say, I look at everything and I pick up on everything. So the facial expressions, the eye contact, the eye movement, especially the eye contact. A lot is said to me when if you can't make eye contact.
Yeah.
If I shake a hand or like how you said, when are they doing this? Or
Yeah.
when you can tell when a person is there and you can tell when a person is just answering a question and they're not there. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes too, like I have a high sense of smell. So
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I don't know if this is a thing I have, no one scientifically have told me. I don't know. But I noticed that even if I don't know the person well, that if they are angry,
Mm.
their scent increases a bit. And I can pick
Wow.
up on that. I'm like, huh. Like I'm like, everything okay? It's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, I can like smell like that boost. I'm like, okay, they're irritated
Yeah.
about something, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
but it's cool, like the body gives these different signs and it's, when you connect with people, but it's cool, like how you say, like, you ask people the question and you can tell they're like, oh, I'm good. But when you ask them, like you said, that whole energy like shifts and they're like, oh wow, like they're shocked that someone is
Yeah.
interested to know,
Yes.
So that's cool. That's really cool. Okay. Okay. Well, you already answered this question when we talked, so I can prefer that. Okay, this one is big. So, how do you take care of your mental health?
Wow. That's a great question. As of recent, I began to hone more into my awareness and my presence really, and dealing more with like overthinking, especially with like circumstantial things. I've had to grow more into like my meditation because even with like I would say before that initial strike of like, hey, reality is shooketh now. Like now this is wiped clean. It was like I was meditating every single day. I was going out in the grass, being able to plant myself in the earth. I was sun gazing like 24/7. Like that was always something I was like really honed into. Then it got to a point where like I was so in my head about everything that like none of that really like catered to me in a sense. It was almost like that felt out of place. It was like I was so honed into wherever the future held in regards to what the mind was saying, those projections. It was like that was something that was wiped. But as of recent, I've started to get back into it. Like just as of yesterday, I was like, oh wow, like I can sun gaze right now, and I'm really feeling it. So with like sun gazing, I'll start with that. With like anytime before I create, it's like, okay, go outside and like soak in that natural energy that the sun provides, like getting that vitamin D, getting those sources of information and like downloads that enable you to truly bring out that inner essence of whatever creativity you're trying to showcase, whatever accessibility, that anything you're trying to reach within your vessel. So sun gazing has been like the main thing, like being able to stare into the sun like 4 to 5. I usually go around like 4 to 5 minutes and just allowing myself to see the shapes and colors and allowing the sparks to go, seeing the rainbows, all the different hues, and then going, okay, cool, let me hop in it. And then it's like my energy is much higher. Now the ideas are flowing like much better. Like it's all these different things that contribute to that vessel movement and allowing yourself to be the transistor. Like I've learned that like this body, this flesh is merely a vehicle, and it's like you can allow whatever entity or whatever that you welcome to be that handle, to be that steering wheel. So allowing like my ancestors to move through me, like I always call upon my ancestors, the ascended masters, like the higher realm, everything that would allow me to truly move in that divine presence and allowing myself to just be that vehicle. So sun gazing has been one where it's like, okay, providing that like accessibility to those ideas and all those different things that allow me to move forward, like truly move forward. So that meditation has been a thing where I try and give myself at least like 5 to 10 minutes of like meditation, being able to do my breath work in regards to doing like, it's like it's actually for, I know it's for many things, but like it's been for like anxiety. So breathing in through your nose for 8 seconds, breathing out through your mouth for 8 seconds, and then allowing it to flow out, getting myself grounded more, bringing myself back to like that space. So that brings me more to like my presence. So dealing with that, as of recent, shadow work, like having to understand, okay, I can't hold on to all these different things that were, pattern and normalized in that sense. So having to journal, like I love journaling because that's helped me understand more of the things that aren't said verbally. And it's like there's so many different things that come out when it comes to writing. So I noticed journaling has helped me a lot just in regards to getting everything out and really being able to see it, and essentially to manifesting, because it's like everything you write out, it's like it comes to light, it comes to form. So journaling has been crucial. It's been crucial being able to jot down anything that isn't expressed and won't be expressed if it isn't placed in that form. Like it's interesting, like having to go through different phases of like, okay, I don't know what to say right now. Like there's so much happening in my mind. And then it's like the frustration leads to me opening the book and going, oh, okay, okay. Like now everything is starting to come out. So journaling has been dope. Let's see, I said shadow work, journaling, sun gazing, meditation. As you said, what you mentioned, which I have to get back into, yoga. Like I would like wake up and do like little stretches here and there. So definitely thank you for mentioning that, because I will get back on that, because that's definitely helped. So yoga has been one. Working out as of recent, like I've noticed that's helped me with like pain, and like pain bringing me more to my awareness, like understanding like, okay, you're feeling this is for one just a game, like this is your body that you're feeling, your energy is there, but like this is your body that you're feeling, you're inside this body, like you're not this body, you're just inside of it. So working out has been dope. Working out has definitely put me in a mind frame of like discipline, and then to like understanding more of like the capacity of my body and understanding like its workings and listening to my body more and understanding it. So that's all been like a huge contribution to like the development of my mind and being able to like ultimately understand more of myself and the functionality of my mind, because of how much I know I haven't really contributed to it. It's interesting. It's like knowing all these different things that have now come out from me being completely shattered, like my reality just being shattered entirely. And it was like, okay, what are you going to do about it? So it's like now you're kind of forced to look for those outlets that will contribute to that, like that rebuild, like those tissues being built back up again. So yeah, it's definitely like it's those things that have been in place as of recent that I'm still working on. Like I still have to do my workout today. Like yesterday I almost skipped it, but I was like, okay, as we're playing Uno, let me bust out 300 push-ups. Like it was a card that was literally like for taking 2 shots, and I was like, I'll do 200 push-ups. Let's do that instead. So like having to like improvise and keeping myself like grounded within that. So that's been like a dope like contribution to like mental health. Like it's been cool. It's been cool.
Okay. Those are powerful things that you're doing. I love it. Exercising, going out, you know, breathing, just all of that. Those all of those things contribute. You know, you're not just doing like one thing and like, okay,
Yeah.
keep it moving. You're like taking care of the whole system there, which
Yeah.
is important. So that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. And I have a question because let me actually write this down. Put that in. I have
Yeah.
a question because when you said it, it popped up, and then I can kind of feel I started hearing my ancestors saying stuff. So
Yeah.
how ancestors? Let's talk about that connection
Yeah.
because I know I'm so happy to hear people are like connecting back with their ancestors, those before them. So
Yeah.
um first question with it, because I know I can go everywhere. First question is, when did you start connecting with your ancestors?
Mm. Let me see. I want to say this was maybe, I want to say like a couple months ago. I want to say possibly maybe not a couple months ago. This was like around October 2020. And this is when more and more I began to realize that like all that we do is merely through like energy. Like we are the radio, and so that transmission is through whatever we allow. So it came to a point where I was like, okay, for those that have passed on, sure, they've passed, but the flesh has passed. The energy still remains. So it's like that's why when you go into a place where people have died, you can still physically feel a presence. You can feel those energy sources that will move around. So it came to a point where I was like, oh, like we don't really die. Like the energy is very much still there. The encasing this player, this character that we take form of, that's the thing that passes on, because it's like, yeah, this is once the body goes, it's like, okay, where's the energy go? The energy will always still remain. So once it got to that point, I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, then my ancestors are very clearly here. Like, and there's an understanding more of like my artistry and knowing that we are a ripple effect. Like we are the 2.0, the 3.0, the 4.0 of our ancestors. We are the master form essentially of our ancestors. So I was like, so you guys move through me. So then it was like, okay, how do I channel it? So then it came to a point where I was like, okay, let me begin to call on like my aunt, like, okay, Aunt Kim, flow through me. Like my Aunt Lois, as of recent, like crazy story. I was like, okay, I really want to understand more of who you are, like how you flow, because she was like the black sheep of the family. So it was like she was into like ballet and like dance, like all these different structures of dance, and then like her art was like insane. So without having much knowledge about her, I was like, I want to know more, like show me more, because every time I would call upon her, it was like through my edits are now like spiraling. Now like my shapes and colors are going crazy. Now it's like, hey, go ahead, do this over here. Like physically feeling like a presence, or then to like seeing an angel number and knowing that, okay, cool, let me go ahead and click this, and then seeing where it's taking me to a new idea. So I was calling upon her and I was like, yo, I want to know more about you. I kid you not, without having any type of information, I went to my grandma's house maybe like, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks after. And there was a picture, because my grandma, she's a graphic designer, it's like super dope. There was a picture that she actually worked on, and it was of my aunt. Now, mind you, I had no idea. Like this entire time, I was like, oh, this person probably in the family, whatever it is. And so me and my grandma were having a conversation. And then at a point out of nowhere, she was like, oh, so this is your Aunt Lois. And I was like, whoa, like that's her? Like that's her? And she was like, yeah. And so then the conversation spiraled into all the different things about her. And I was like, you brought me to like everything fully connected. And I was like, okay, that fully solidified like that concept of like, okay, you're very much still here. Like there's a presence that allows me to be flowed through, like really allow myself to be a transistor. So that really came to form like in October, where it was like, okay, no one really dies. Like this is just the game. You get unplugged. Okay, cool. But where does that energy go, and how do you utilize that energy to where it's something that's beneficial, not even just for yourself, but like for everybody?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was around that time where I was like, okay, this makes sense. And how do I channel it? How do I truly allow myself to be just once again that vehicle, like that would allow me to implement newer ideas, newer concepts that come from an older source, but it's like with being in energy, you're tapped into everything. Like you're in so many different astral realms and planes that we can't physically see or touch, but it's like that's something that they dwell in, and they can contribute whatever it is to you within that. So yeah, it was definitely around that time, and to see that in its fullest extent, I was like, okay, there's something more here. So yeah.
That's powerful. That's real powerful. Like you hit a lot of things on the head, and
Mhm.
just connecting there. It also seems like you come from a family of people who are creative. So like you said,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
aunt, and grandma. So what I was gonna say. So I believe you did answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So
yeah.
how is okay, let me give you an example so
Mhm.
you have a frame of reference what I'm talking about. So like my question is, how does your ancestors feel to you when you're connecting to them? So I say that because when I connect with my ancestors, they definitely tailor to my personality.
Mhm.
So when like they're very distinctly them.
Yeah,
um but like how some people are like, you got to respect and honor ancestors, which I do.
yeah.
um I can be very like, not seriously, but I can be very petty and just with the
Yes,
shits with my ancestors.
yes,
And so
absolutely. Yeah.
they respond just like they talk to me just like that. Like they'll come to me and they're like, yeah, you need to do this or something like that. And I'm like, I really need to do
Yeah,
that. And they,
yes, yeah,
like, and they come with that energy, like, I mean, you don't gotta do it. I mean, but it was like, I mean, if you want to have a shitty experience, I mean, by all
yeah,
means, fuck what we got to say. I was like, oh,
yeah,
well,
yes,
okay. Well, we said that way. Let me look into what you're talking about. So
yeah.
how is it with yours? Like when they communicate with
Wow.
you?
That's actually interesting because like I feel like this dialogue started with my angels, where it was like my first experience with like dealing with my guardian angel. Like for her, like it was through a shroom trip, which was interesting. So it was like seeing her energy and seeing how sassy she was. And she was like, come on, my nigga, like you gotta get it together. Like go ahead and do this, go ahead and do that. You know you're supposed to be doing this. Like stop tripping about this, stop worrying about him, like all this different stuff. So once I saw that engagement and kind of got rid of this concept, like you have to be strict and standard and oh holy, like once that was read, it was like, oh, it's like having like that best friend, like they there for you, they riding for you. So it started with my angels, and it was like I studied this well, I'm getting more back into it, but it's the 13 moon 28-day calendar. And at a point, I think it's after 30 or 60 days, after like 60 days of like studying the calendar, you earn what's called galactic vision. So I remember at a point I felt like I hit it, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, something shifted in the energy," and I got this vision of where my angels stand, and so it's in all four corners. It like I was on my patio, and they were in all four corners, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like so, it brought more of like this concept of like, "Oh, you're standing right here, and you're standing over here." So now it became more of like, all right, if I'm in a conversation, like something weird happens, I would just be like, what's going on? Like why what the fuck's good? Like what like and so it's like that dialogue became more free because of like what's been showcased, and then to being able to hear like we ain't on that whole strict standard, like it's not that. So then that began to like transfer into my ancestors where I'm like, yo, ancestors, like I need your help, like what's good, like bring me whatever, like I'm bugging right now. And then hearing them respond, like I remember the first time I heard like real dialogue, and it was like I was frustrated about this edit, and I was like, bro, like this isn't making any sense. And my aunt was like, hey yo, check me out, check this out real quick. And like I moved over to the side, and I adjusted something, and I was like, oh, like if I didn't do that and go through that, like okay, that makes sense. So then like feeling that dialogue and really honing into it, like that is 100% spot on, because it's they're just characters. They're characters that are there to like to help and guide you. So yeah, definitely that is spot on. That dialogue is amazing. Yes.
Energy. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check this out right here. I love
Yeah.
it.
And when I heard it, I was like, okay, because for me to physically feel it and like knowing that I'm being stubborn, I know I'm supposed to be listening. I was like, all right. And then it happened, and it was the smallest, most absurd adjustment, and it did so much. And I was like, dang, okay, all right, cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
man. Let's say I'd be getting pissed off, like, yo, what the fuck, what's good? And then it's like they'll show me like, oh, listen, you're getting mad, but it's right in front of you. And then I'll do it and I'll be like, all right, cool. Y'all came through, like, thank you. But it's like they'll always come through. It's just a matter of like being able to reach out. So
Yeah, definitely. I love it too, just like how you just shared, like you get frustrated and you're like, man, fucking all this stuff like that. And like you said, they just come through. And I would tell some people like, guys, you a product of them. So that came from
yes.
somewhere. Guy,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you upset or you snapping or you doing this,
Yeah.
it came from one of them. So
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
bro,
Wow. Yes.
bro, I absolutely love connecting with the ancestors because
Hmm.
I think it's it's kind of funny because I had to do something. I love it when like they pop in when you're just doing your regular stuff.
Yeah.
And one of them popped in and he said something. And usually when they connect, I can kind of feel which side of the family they're from. And it gives me a little energy, like, okay, you giving me a cousin vibe or you're giving me an uncle vibe. I don't know
Yeah.
how far back. Some of them I can kind of trace, but when they way back, I'm just like, you giving me uncle, we gonna keep you there.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
one of them popped up and he said something slick to me, and I'm just like, and sometimes I got to be honest with people, like sometimes I have my headphones in because they
Hmm.
might just randomly speak to me and I'm just gonna have a regular conversation, and I want people like, oh, you talking to yourself? I'm like, nah, but I put my headphones
Yeah.
in so you think I'm on the phone. But
Yeah. Yep. There
you
it is.
know they said something slick to me, like he said something like, well, back in my day, I don't know, I had to get something. He's like, well, back in my day, we ain't have to do this. He was like, I guess y'all got to pay for that. I was like, but that's why your days are no longer here.
Wow.
He's like, he was
Wow.
like, okay. I was like, you need to control
Wow.
that energy, my guy. Let me
Yeah.
handle this right here. Like this is my
Wow.
time.
Wow.
This is
Y'all
my
was
time,
shooting at each other. That's amazing.
bro. Because I'm like, it's in you. Somebody got it. You got it from somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when they're with the shits, I'm with the shits, and when it's time to be serious, it's time to be serious. I guess you got to
Yeah.
get me into
Yeah.
it depends on how they.
It has its moments. It has its moments.
Yeah, especially when they snatch you up, like, all right, hey, you need to do this. And then you got that one answer, not that one, you got them particular ancestors that you just don't fuck with. Like when they
Mm.
come through, it's just like, all right, I'll stop everything. Okay, let's
Yeah. But yes. Yeah.
yeah, I want
Yeah.
that energy. I want that energy. I'll listen. Matter of fact, I'll turn the phone off. Let's go. I will leave. Let's go. Where we gotta go.
You will remove. Absolutely. Yeah.
But,
100%. Yeah. That is
yeah,
amazing. Beautiful to hear another side of it because I mean, with still discovering more of how to channel it and ultimately where that communication and dialogue really takes form, like to hear it on another end where it's like, yup, we be on that petty shit, like everything. I'm like, oh my god, like yes, like that is everything and more. Because I've always, in a sense, I've like felt bad at times, like dang, am I like coming at y'all crazy? Like there's been times I'm like, yo, like I call upon acceleration, like when things feel too stagnant. I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, let's get some acceleration. Let's go. And I will roll up on my angels like, yo, okay, I've done this. I've done that. Like, what's good? And then it's like, they'll showcase it like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, whoa, okay, it's moving. And they're like, no, like you was asking for, like, was so to hear that, that's everything and more. Everything.
yes, bro. Yep. And they be ready too. They be so
Oh
fucking
yeah.
ready. They be so ready. Like,
They ready
nah.
for all the smoke. Like they are prepared always. So yeah.
What? I love it. I love it. Like you said, bro. Like you said, it's like, nah, you say you wanted it, so here.
Yeah. I've had so many of those moments where like I'm like, okay, things aren't moving or things are moving, but those details aren't being paid attention to because the goal essentially is what I'm throwing myself at. So I'm missing all the steps. So it's like, okay, I mean, you're taking these steps and you are moving forward. So if you're asking for acceleration, like you're getting that extra boost on the swing. So we'll we'll push you. And once that push happens, it's like, oh, okay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. Okay, cool. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Having to take all that in.
Especially. Especially. I love the ones who like you said, all right, we'll boost you. I feel like we all have that pocket of ancestors where it's just like, okay, I help you in that. We say a boost, but the whole time the niggas gonna throw your ass there. It's like, nah, your ass wanna go out there, boom. Like, and then it's
Yeah.
like, wait, it's like, nah, fuck all that. Keep
Yeah.
going. You asked for it. You done disturb my peace. Go
Yeah.
ahead and go do that. I'm like, damn.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that'd be too
100%.
funny.
Oh man. Ancestors, yo. They crazy. That's beautiful
Yes. I got so another question regarding the answers for you. So you're, in your stage in life, have you had an ancestor come to you, we'll say in the middle of some experience that you were going through that
though.
was literally the exact same experience they've had in their time, though different, 2021, but the
Yeah.
the gist of it is exactly what they went through, and they popped up to you and told you, hey, this is what I went through, and this
Mm.
is the decision that I made,
Yeah.
so this is what happens if you do this. But if you do the opposite, da da da. Have you ever had an experience like that?
Not as of recent, or I don't think not at all, but I think in moments where I could see something being repeated, or I know that like whatever path I was going down would have led to whatever mistake an ancestor may have made. I would say that like there was it was more of like I don't it was more of like you have a choice. Like you kind of already understand where I've gone. I want to I think that's probably the same thing, but like it's been more of like you know what you're doing. Like you know where this has gotten you. You've seen these same traits and characteristics that you've developed and have engulfed from X, Y, and Z. But I think it's been more placed upon like, yo, you already know. Like I don't think it's been a case of like, oh, dang, this is kind of new, and then it's like, oh, this is where you were, and now I'm at these crossroads. It's kind of been like, you you knew, you already knew. So whatever you want to go ahead and do, go for it. And it's kind of like it's left upon me. So definitely interesting. I'll thank you for that because I'll look out for that in regards to situations that happen. So yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. No problem, no
Yeah.
problem, no problem. Okay. I'm like making sure. Okay, we got over time. Okay. All right. I'll ask you one more question because I'm like looking at time and I don't want to hold you up because I know you're
Oh
probably
no, this is amazing. We can do this forever. This is amazing. Yeah.
okay. You got some time, or I don't want
Oh
to.
yeah, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. I ain't gonna keep you too long. I ain't gonna keep you too long. Okay, so another question then is, oh man, these are so many. Okay, this question: how do you take care of your emotional health?
Mm.
Which you believe you answered it, but still go for it.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely there are some different segues into that. As of recent, crying.
Mhm.
Crying has been the biggest thing, and I've even had a conversation in regards to the Black community and how crying ultimately is so condemned. It's so misplaced and it's so highlighted in a form where it's like your masculinity is dying if you even dare to shed a tear. Your masculinity is completely non-existent if you even think to show emotion, because it's like we have to have this hard shell, especially within a society where we're already viewed as like these hard shell individuals, which is completely untrue. It's just we've had to build these shells from how much we've been attacked, from how much we've been placed in the limelight of like you're this and you're that, when we know what we have, we know what we contain. So as of recent, it's really been engaging in like truly releasing. And I explained this to one of my friends, but it's like if you the more you hold in emotion, the more that you allow it to bottle up, it's gonna behave in the same way that you shake up a soda can. Once you pop it open, once that last thing really ticks you off, it's like you're gonna explode. And that's where mental breakdowns happen. That's where like breakdowns in general happen. So I know that like as of recent, anytime I feel that something needs to be released or expressed, the main thing I go to is like I'll go in my living room and we have a speaker set up. So I'll blast music and I'll allow myself to just throw myself around and throw and kick and punch and scream. And then at a point, tears come out. And it's like being able to, as music's blasting and it's absurdly loud, I'm on the floor just, and then by the time I'm done, I'm like, okay, boom, like we're back in here. Like now there's more fuel because I'm no longer attaching myself to any type of emotion that is just leaching and just growing and becoming more of I want to say it's tainting more, because it's like in the midst of trying to operate with so much baggage or so much emotional constraint, it's like no, release that. Like you have the ability to release this energy. Cause that's all it is. I've come to realize that like all that we feel, all the emotions, all the different additives in regards to how you feel, it's just energy. So it's like, okay, why not release this energy? So yeah, anytime it's come to, I mean, anything I'm feeling, I mean, I'll go through a full week and kind of forget to release, where it's like I'll go to sleep and it's like, okay, I'm kind of feeling it. I'll wake up and I'm still feeling that same cloud. And it's like, okay, I'm still kind of moving, kind of maneuvering. And then I'll go into editing or I'll go into some sort of creation that will pull my mind away from it. It comes to a point where it's like, go ahead and scream right now. Scream, just as loud as you can, scream. And I'll scream. And I was like, okay, there's some source of energy that's come off. So, okay, cool. We're chopping away that extra, like chopping away the fat, getting it off. And so screaming has been one. I mean, like crying has been the ultimate factor, because I've seen where when you release that, you are shedding all of what you're carrying. And it's important because it's like the more you carry it along, it's like you're easier to irritate. It's much easier for you to become aggravated, because it's not that small thing that pisses you off. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, like that whole entire list of things. And just that small thing was just that dynamite that just lifted everything. So I try and make sure that I don't get to that point, just seeing where I've had those breakdowns where I'm literally like, yo, what is going on? Like, this doesn't make any logical sense. So that's really been one of the things I've targeted as of recent, especially with trying to help others understand that. Cause it's like, yo, like, don't hold back your tears. Like what you're feeling, it's okay. And then being able to understand that like everything that you're feeling is okay. Like there are steps in understanding what these emotions are serving you, like what they're trying to show you ultimately. So knowing that there's answers within that has really brought me to a stronger sense of understanding why, like the purpose as to why it's important. So really it's been crying, like really allowing myself to let it out and knowing it's okay, like not feeling ashamed of it, not feeling weakened or any less masculine, so to speak. Like it's like, no, it makes you stronger. It's a strengthening tool, because it's allowing more awareness in that these are the factors that play into your health. These are the factors that allow you to grow, because you're honing into what you're feeling. You're listening to your body. You're allowing yourself more of a gateway into that emotional growth and standing by it ultimately. So crying, man, crying has been a huge factor in that.
Wow, that's very beautiful, bro. Like the fact that you are allowing yourself to cry is very huge. And like you said, it's definitely like in the Black community, it is something that, is frowned upon and all that stuff like that. Like you got to be strong, you can't show no emotions and things like that. And I would challenge people, like, I like to break things down when people would say that, like,
Yeah.
okay, so they would say, okay, well, a man ain't supposed to show no emotions and he ain't supposed to cry. I was like, okay, all right, so let's take that and run with it. I was like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
I was like, so let's say you're in a relationship with the guy and whatnot, and I would ask them, because I would mostly hear it like just in the community in general, but I challenge both, male and female. I'm like, okay, so for the female friends, I'm like, all right, so let's just say you with a guy, no emotions, and he doesn't cry.
Mm.
Now, when you with him and you want to do this for him or do that for him, but he don't show you no emotional affection, there's an issue. So
Yeah.
they're like, well, what do you mean? There's like, yeah, no, she gonna have to love me. I'm like, no, 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 no. That
Mm.
requires emotions. It
Yeah.
requires him to feel something. Because what you're saying is you want a robot. But
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
he don't show you happiness or this, that, and the other, which is emotion now, that's an emotion. But then he's
Yeah.
like, well, no, he can't show me the good one. So I'm like, okay, so now he can only show you the what you deem is good and or bad.
Mm.
Okay. So only the happiness and things like that. I'm like, that's not gonna work, because we all have different emotions and we have different things, but you essentially want someone to not show you that. So if something's going on with him, he ain't gonna tell you.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
robot, you
Yeah.
know? And oh well, just be I want to be there for you, but he's a robot. Like he don't
Yeah.
show that. You're not gonna see that. So it's like
Yeah.
what you're trying to get is not for the work, And same thing, like, I ask my guy friends, I'm like, yeah, there's like, yeah, man, like you ain't supposed to show that. I'm like, okay, but you're human, right? Last time I checked, but you feel stuff. And it was like, yeah, but you ain't supposed to show that. You ain't supposed to show no emotions. I'm like, but see, that's the thing, you do. There's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? You can show anger very, very well, but last time I checked, that's an emotion. You know,
Yeah.
you can show when you ain't in the game. Sure, that's something down in there was like, yeah, no, that's different. I'm like, no.
Oh.
That's still an emotion. I was
Yeah.
like, now what you're basically saying is you don't want to show vulnerability, maybe, or you don't want to show that you care. You don't want, or is this in the backing of I don't want to be hurt, or I don't want nobody to show it so they can use this. So it's just like, I try to break it down for them because it's like, guys, that's not gonna work for you because you're gonna hold all this stuff in, and the whole time you're experiencing all these emotions that you don't like, but it's gonna blow up, and if it doesn't hurt you, it's probably gonna hurt the people around you. So it's just like, guys, we're gonna have to let that go. You're gonna have to tap into an emotion. Nah, man, that's feminine. Last time I checked, we have masculine and feminine energy in there, and if you're not working with both of them, you really not at your best. So it's
Yeah.
just like, it's
Yeah.
but the fact that I love what you're saying, you do basically what I like. You do what you got to do to express it and move that energy and let it out, and you own it, you acknowledge it, you honor it, and then like you say, you'll go, all right, bet, and then you get what you need, and you do what you have to do, but you take that time to give that time to yourself, because in this world where people want people not to show no emotions, yet whole time we're showing emotions. It's like make it make sense. But
Yes, that's a great point. Yeah.
yeah. I love it though. I love that you do that. So that's awesome. Again, community. And I think we're slowly getting there. I think I'm noticing some people are slowly like talking about that,
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's on their journey with that. So, but I love that you tapped into that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Another question I have for you. So,
Hmm.
in what area of your life would you say you need the most advice in?
Wow. Honestly, like right where I am right now, which I would say is, hmm, because of course this all pertains to like the shadow working and everything. I want to say like relationships is one. And I think ultimately the relationship with myself, like understanding more of myself and the love that will inevitably build for myself. But I think, yeah, honestly, like the relationship with myself, and that's come from, I think, never necessarily being alone, or never never really building that foundation first, or at least knowing where to target it. So yeah, I think that's the main focal point, because I think with always having someone there, and this isn't to neglect anyone that I've been with, but it's like it's it's been like this like overhead like distraction, so to speak, where it's like you don't really have to pay attention to yourself because you have this person that's constantly providing energy and everything. And it's like, in that sense, like I know I've really needed help, especially in regards to identifying the key traits that have been dark. So that's come from me having to acknowledge these things alone, like going, oh, I wouldn't have seen this if I didn't take that time away and asking like, yo, I want to see my darkness. Like, let me see it, because I wasn't able to see it from someone that's constantly engaging in energy. And it's like, this is your person. This is someone that you're always moving with, and your thoughts and ideas and perception are always moving and aligning with each other. So ultimately right now it's like building that relationship with myself, and that's a big area right now where I'm really trying to navigate. I mean, I told my mom about this, but I'm like, yo, I want to go to therapy. Like there's so many things that like I'm unveiling right now that I know is further than myself. Like I've become more open to advice. I've become more receptive to looking at other people's experiences, and instead of just being on this high horse of like, oh, I'm just gonna, I don't need help, I'm just gonna keep going and shadow work and work it. It's like, no, like be able to be open to speaking to people that have gone through what you're feeling, or at least gone further than it, so that they can provide you that platform that would allow you to see these crossroads and take another direction, and move for it in a way that works the best for you. So yeah, right now, like honestly, the relationship with self, which I know most of it will come from me having to identify all of it with being alone, but like ultimately, yeah, like that's the biggest point right now, because it's like I've always had an external entity that's accompanied this energy where it wasn't really necessary to look inward. It wasn't really necessary to identify any of the things that were like, hey, you really need to work on this shit. Like, this is something that is going to build up even more and even more if you don't tend to it. So as of right now, yeah, it's really, really that foundation and relationship with self. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, that hit it right on the spot. I'm like, oh, life right now. That's where I need the biggest help. So yeah.
Okay. So that's actually perfect, because I say that because that's actually when it comes to self, that's actually the specialty that I like work with other people, is like helping them
Yeah.
connect with themselves. So I mean, I would say, if you're open to it,
Oh yeah.
um, I would say already at the starting point of you already acknowledging that, this is what I want to do. I want to focus, on myself and these points, and acknowledging like, okay, not really knowing where to start. So I would say number one, just you thinking about it, and also being aware
Mm,
that relationships, always having that person there, can kind of distract you from doing, because it's like, oh well, I don't have to. The
yeah.
fact that you are aware, you're more ahead than you know.
Oh,
um
thank you.
Really, you're more ahead than you know, because some people purposely would be like, oh well, I got this person, or I have this over here I got to do, and I just don't have time for, like, you're aware, like, this is distracting. So that's
Yeah.
number one. Perfect, you're already ahead.
Thank
um
you for that. That's amazing to hear.
yeah, you're already ahead, so perfect on that, because you're aware.
Mm,
um I would say that the next thing is what I would call, in your particular case, is SirDushon time, time
mm,
to honor thyself, making it a time, however your schedule works. I always tell people, you don't have to do it strictly this way or that way, but you know your schedule better than anyone. But um, making it where it's you have that time, be it, if you can afford 30 minutes, that's great. If you can do an hour or more, perfect. But setting aside time to really talk with yourself and
mm,
connect with yourself and ask yourself, how am I really feeling? Why am I really feeling this? What what happened when I had this thought? Like how you're getting to know people,
yeah.
use those same tactics on yourself. But the first step with that is, like, you're already aware. The second thing is making that time to do that. Now, when you make that time, be it I always say, if it's like let's just say it's an hour, depending on your schedule. If you can do, hell, if you can do 3 times out the week, that's great. If you can
Yeah.
afford to do it every day, that's great too.
Yeah.
But setting aside that time, now the big part with setting that time is, now you got to protect that time. You got
Mm,
to honor that time, because it's like, people can hit you up. you,
yeah.
you may have an event, you may do this, but you have to protect that, because at the end of the day, this is you connecting with yourself, figuring out the things that you need to, because you're always giving your energy somewhere. It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
time to give that energy now that you're good at, invest that back into yourself, and taking that time to do that. So once you set that time, then you protect that time, and then now you're in there. That time, that's where you have to be the most selfish, and
Mm,
selfish is okay,
yeah.
especially when you're working on yourself. You have to be the most selfish. So that means you got to turn the damn phone off, and on airplane mode, you got to tell everybody you're around, hey guys, for this next hour, I can't be available. If it's an emergency, call sorry, if it's an emergency, call the proper authorities, or ask
Mm,
somebody else. Like, you have to
yeah.
really get
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
serious, if
Yeah.
it's, whatever. And then you be the most selfish in that time. Write down or journal or listen to music or whatever it is that works for you. Go out for a run or whatever it is that you need to do, and just ask yourself questions. Like, you're
Yeah.
trying to get to know yourself. Treat it as if it's someone, outside of yourself that you're getting to know. But instead, all right, what's on my mind? What am I feeling today? I'm feeling anxious. Okay, why
Mm,
am I feeling anxious? So that, why are you feeling anxious today?
yeah.
I'm feeling anxious because I don't know. Like, I feel like da 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 da, and just start talking stuff like, when you do know, because it's you. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling. I got all this pressure in my chest. Okay, pressure in your chest. Let's take a deep breath. breathe. Okay, is it still there a little bit? Is
Yeah.
it where is it coming from? Like I keep thinking what's happening. So taking that time. And once you do that and you make it a habit, you really start to build that foundation with yourself
Yeah.
first. And then in that realization of things that you get from yourself, you'll start, I promise you, you're gonna start identifying it in other people now. You'll start seeing it in other people, you start picking it up. But you took the time to work on yourself and you're letting things flow. And then sometimes you'll find, like you said, it may not be you. It really may not be you. It may be other people. Hell, it could be something. I've sometimes found that it could be something like that's just been in your DNA, that's just been running through your family, that has nothing to do with you, but is just in there. And maybe you're the one to break that,
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a thing too. But you don't know until you take that time for yourself. You're not distracted. But
Totally.
that's why I would say to start and build that foundation. But what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that? How do you feel about it? What do you think? What comes to you?
Well, first and foremost, I would love to thank you because that's definitely put a lot into perspective, especially with this idea that like selfishness is like wrong. And it's like I've seen where it's wrong in, of course, the wrong reasons, but when it's necessary for you to really build, it makes so much more sense. So to hear that in concept, like that solidified that idea for me to go, okay, cool. Like that's when it's there and it's there for you, like, yes, please utilize it. So definitely thank you. And that's something I will definitely consider because it's like I've seen where my SirDushon time is been more of like, okay, I'm editing. It's like, yeah, that's my time of like of growth and everything. But I think for that introspection really and taking the time to go, okay, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Where am I headed? I had this conversation yesterday and I was talking to my aunt and my uncle, and we were talking about like reality checks, like being able to take that time to go, okay, I'm here now. What's good? Where am I? What am I feeling? And how does it feel? And where is it coming from? All those different things. That definitely makes a lot of sense. So yeah, thank you once again. Like I'll definitely put that in because it's like I've had the SirDushon time in regards to creativity and everything that goes into that, whether it's looking at different ideas, jotting them down, physically shooting, editing, whatever it is, dealing with music, sound, all those different components. But in regards to like really being able to sit with myself and go, okay, what are we feeling? And then allowing it to come in. I think I've had little points of it and then distraction would come in. Distraction. It's like, it's easier to go into those distractions because it's like, well, it's pulling you away from all those things that you got to tend to. So I will definitely do that. So thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, bro, no problem, man. No problem. No problem. Happy to help. Hey, let me know. I mean, you have my number. Keep me updated
Oh yeah.
on that.
Oh yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Yes.
Definitely keep me
Absolutely.
updated on that. Okay. So we took that route. So now what area of your life are you the most confident in?
Honestly, right now, like creativity, because I think with that hiatus of pulling back and not feeling remotely comfortable to create, I mean, there were so many times where I would open my laptop up and like I'm starting to create, and I would just stop and be like, bro, this is so fucking trash. Like I can't do this. Like it's so weird. And so having those moments of like I don't know where to start. I don't even know how to get back into it. And then seeing where there was so many different things that I had to understand within myself first before being able to breach that level of creativity again. It was like that created a new zeal. I have this tattooed on my arm. Love, zeal, and prosperity, where zeal is that eagerness to like literally amplify whatever it is that you're doing. It created like this new zeal for like creativity. So honestly, like right now, that's where like I mean these new videos are coming out and it's like yo I'm taking more time with them. There's a different sense of appreciation in regards to what's being implemented within these videos where it's like okay, now instead of kind of rushing on that last part and kind of getting out, it's like no, what can I do more that would like add more to this? Okay, and instead of dwelling on the thought of like okay, I've been up, it's 5 a.m, I'm mad exhausted, I'll do the sound effects later, or I won't do the sound effects and it'll kind of improvise whatever it is. It's like, no, I knew what it was like not being able to create and at least feel that creativity. I'm going to keep going for it. So then I'm staying up until maybe 7 or 8 or 9. And it's like that end result is so worth it because it's like you knew that feeling of not being able to do it, or at least that feeling of feeling as if you were incapable, like truly. So my creativity right now, I feel is like really amping up. And I even know too, like I'll probably have another hiatus of just like, okay, let me regroup and figure out more of this. Cause it's like, I know that those moments are always necessary and they're very valuable. So I think right now, like honestly, the creativity is like really peaking because there's so many ideas that I'm catching now. There's so many different things, opportunities that are opening up that are allowing me to truly exert this creativity. So I've seen where like it was like, all right, you took a little break here. So like now what are you gonna do about it? And it's like, all right, cool. Now I know, let's hone in, let's call in other ancestors that I'm not even aware of. Let's tap into this music. Let me see where this pulls me in regards to information or any type of inspiration that I know is going to push me forth and allow more of that juice to truly like exemplify itself. So right now, like creativity is really hitting. And even with all these thoughts and concepts, like, oh, this is trash. It's like, but I know I'm killing it. Like I know I can do this. I know I can go in with this. So yeah, right now that's really where it's at. Like that strength and structure has really formulated itself in a form where I feel like, okay, there's more in this than I think. So that feels strong right now. Definitely feels strong.
I felt that. You're definitely killing it, my man. You're definitely killing it.
Man,
That's what I
thank you.
know.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah, my man. Okay. Thank you. Hey, bro, thank you for sharing that. Okay.
you.
Okay. Another question I have for you is what's one thing that you can teach me right now?
Ooh, one thing I can teach you. Okay.
Got
Let
them
me
thinking.
see.
Got them thinking.
Yeah. Like, no, just hearing, I mean, how our conversation has been, I'm like, yo, the information that you hold, your wisdom is amazing. So I'm like, I'm trying to target something that I think you won't know. Cause I'm like, yo, you're there. I'm loving this exchange here. So I'm like, dang, that's a toughie. Let me see. Uh, okay, I threw this at my boy the other day because I was really going in depth about like presence and being able to ground yourself in that presence when it comes to overthinking or when it comes to like narratives being formed that are like super heavy that allow you to really attach to it because it seems so believable.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've practiced myself is when it comes to overthinking, being able to acknowledge the inaccuracy of these narratives that are being placed. So one of the things I told him was like, okay, when it comes to the mind, literally its day job is to amplify any thought into the future so that it creates worry and emotion that would then provide it energy so that it can stay alive. Then it throws it into the past to get you to identify with anything that you've done, anything that has happened to you, so that you're now worried about like that overall perception from anything that you've done or anything that's happened to you. So with that, I was like, okay, pay attention to anything in regards to the future and truly how inaccurate it is. And what I mean by that is, okay, perfect example. So it may be a situation in the mind where it's like, okay, what if this happens? And what if this goes wrong? Notice how whenever it comes to that future tense projection, it places you right there, right in a pinpoint. So the thing I look at is how did I even get up to get to this point? Did I brush my teeth? How did I put on my shoes? Like all these different points that are missing. How are you jumping to letter X when you had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of that's completely missing? Where's that whole part at? And then it's like anytime anytime something happens to me that's like unexpected, I always look at the mind and go, okay, so you can predict this, right? You can predict this. Like all that you're trying to throw out, like none of that actually happens for one, but for two, it's like for anything that happens in real time, it's like you couldn't predict that. There was nothing that projected this. So then being able to ground yourself within that presence and going with your body always being here, with you being able to physically touch and feel, with feeling the vibration in your chest when you're speaking, that's truly what is here. Everything else within the mind and its projections are far more than anything that you can actually grab, and it's not real. Like you're not these thoughts. All these projections are there to get you to grasp onto them so that it provides it energy. So one of the things I told him too was like, okay, the thing that's helped me as of recent has been verbally saying I was always here. And with that, it's like if I get caught in like overthinking, where it's usually like I'm staring at something and it's like I'm not looking at whatever is in front of me. It's just my mind has now completely covered my vision and I'm there in those thoughts. So in that duration, however long, a minute, 30 seconds, 25 seconds, whatever it is, when I snap out of it and realize that I was overthinking, I then verbalize and go, I was always here, physically here. So all of that storyline, I can then go and wipe it completely. So it's like that narrative no longer has any type of tangible form that would allow me to believe it and act upon it. So it's like really grounding yourself in that presence, always being where your feet are, essentially. So yeah, is that something new?
So I heard you talk about that actually before. I think it was on the live, but hearing the
Yeah.
more in depth, yeah, like it's new because like how you saying, like with the mind, it definitely will go one of those ways.
Mhm.
Um, but like how you said, even challenging it, like, okay, but you couldn't predict this. And then
Yeah.
you mentioned the steps, and what was coming to me was just like, yeah, because like if you when it's doing that, and then if
Mhm.
you ground yourself, like you said, right there
Mhm.
in that moment, and it's just like, well, what if this? And it's just like da 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 da. But it's just like there's so many steps between that we're missing. Like you
Mhm.
could this could have you could have prepared and avoided this. Da
Yeah.
da 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 da. So it's just like you're just throwing shit now at this point. You just throw it,
Yes.
so it's just like, why don't
Yes.
I just what like I hear you, but take a seat. Like I hear you, but
Yes.
take a seat. So
Yes. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
got this. I got this in this moment. Thank you though. Like, but
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah. So it is new and it brings the idea of when the mind constantly does that, take that moment to be aware in the sense of like holding your ground and
Yeah.
not just being whipped into the current with it of like this and that. And then it starts to build up here. And then now the emotions tap into it too. It's like, okay, well, all right, where do you feel? And so now it's just like, let me just stay here in this moment. Okay, I see what you presented me. Thank
Mhm.
you. Take a seat.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
there were so many steps that were missing. So you're obviously not prepared. And number one, you're just skipping a bunch of things. So we see where you stand. Let you stick with what I give you to think about. And in the meantime, I got it. So it's this, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank
No,
you.
no problem. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
dope, dope. Yeah, it's interesting because through like these last couple of weeks, I've had to configure those different pinpoints because it was like I was overthinking so much where I was like, okay, I'm kind of sick of this. But then it was like I had learned these things prior, but I saw where having to go through a series of overthinking literally forced me out of it to go, I'm tripping. Like I'm so corroded by all these different things that I know aren't real, but why does it seem so real now? So then it was like, oh wait, because you know exactly what to say that will get me to attach to something like that. You know exactly what to hit, like all those different points that you know would make me react. So it's like, then it's kind of like, okay, cool. Now that I have this new series of thoughts, I can now wipe you. It was like, okay, cool. I got to that point. Boom. Let me go ahead and swipe you out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Definitely.
interesting stuff.
Okay. 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 I like that. I like that. Hmm. Wait. So
Hmm.
'cause I remember I know you was doing this in your live and things like that. So do you want to take a quick, like either 5 or 10 minute break? Probably use the bathroom. I know you
Okay,
like
cool.
to refresh and
Breathe
breathe and things like
in.
that. So
Yeah.
you want to take a quick little 5, 10?
Let's do it. Yeah, yeah.
All right. But we're back, guys. So I was in the middle of asking SirDushon some questions. And we left off on okay, what was the one thing that you could teach me? He did, which was awesome. And now my next question is when starting a new relationship, be it romantic or just friends, what is it that you look for?
Mm. Beautiful question. As of recent, and this will cater more to like a romantic relationship. As of recent, I've read this book called The Five Love Languages, and quite literally, that shifted and altered my entire perspective as to, for one, how to engage in a relationship, for two, how to initiate, and 3, ultimately like the questions to ask. Like that initial approach being from a standpoint of collecting data, as my mom would say, like being able to understand, okay, what are these points that you need to acknowledge so that the compatibility can be showcased before it really breaches in. Like let's see where it's at. So in regards to like romantic relationship, I mean, as of now, with like being in one, like it's the standpoint has been like, okay, what is your love language? What is that language? How do you speak it? What is it that makes the most sense to you in regards to love? How does it cater to you? What are your movements behind it? What are the things that can be catered to that don't exceed any barriers, but hit that point to where it makes sense, where it's fully grounded in something? So that ultimately is like the initiation. That's one of the things I'm looking for, is like where in yourself do you know where that love comes from? How can I target it? Where is the compatibility sense where it can be a, not, I don't think conjunction is a word, but it's like bringing it together ultimately. How do we bring this together, and how do we function with our sense of individuality, but at the same time catering to each other? So the biggest thing to look at has been like love languages. Like, okay, are you more into like the physical touch? Like, have you been loved so much as a child that that's now something that you seek? Is it words of affirmation where you have to physically hear verbal words that affirm you of my love for you? Like, what are these things that I can cater to where it's going to feed you? I'm not pressing the wrong button in this relationship where it's like, I think based upon how I've been taught how to love, that this is how I'm going to project it upon you. Like, no, let me understand where it's coming from and those buttons to hit so that it's accurate. Like there's an accurate pinpoint where it's not like I'm aiming here and it's like, no, I'm hitting this, and it's further depreciating the actual value of this relationship because it's going elsewhere. It's a place where it's not really needed or necessary. So that's really the focal point. Really has been like, yo, what's your love language? How do you speak? Far more than the communication, like what do you speak internally? What's that love mean for you? So yeah, in regards to romantic relationships, that right now is like spot on.
Okay. I like that. So what are your love languages then? And do you have more
Primary,
than one?
yeah, my primary ones is physical touch. Is it physical touch, words of affirmation? And I think the third one, what's my third one? It's not receiving gifts. It's not oh, I'm lying. Okay. Physical touch, quality time. There we go. Quality time and words of affirmation. So definitely like very physical in tune. I have to be there. Like we're there, we're spending time not watching TV together. It's like eye contact, physical, we're here. Yes. Perfect. Like that's the basis.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That is a big one. Is in the relationship you're with, do you all share the same love languages, or are theirs different?
It's actually the primary one. The first one is the same, which is like, wow. I still kind of like process that today, where it's like, yo, what are the odds of that happening? Because it's like that is ideal. Because it's like, okay, in this case, the way you do express love is similar to how that's exchanged. So that being a huge like ball in the bucket, just like, okay, cool, that's knocked out. All right, cool. There's still a lot to learn in regards to that development, but at the same time, it's like there's a stronger sense of compatibility with that being the primary love language, because like that's something that you both share, that's something that you both enjoy. So that's really dope. That's definitely dope.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, that's cool right there. I like that. Well, congratulations for both of you. I like
Oh
that.
man, see, work in progress, but yeah, that's definitely dope. Definitely dope.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I definitely like that, because the love languages are definitely like, they're a big thing to know. I I met some, like when we were, me and some friends, we were learning it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, even using it in like my friendships, some of them, like where mine's would be physical touch, theirs is not physical touch. So I've had to learn to adjust to that sometimes, because it's just like I'd be like, what's up? People like, what's up, bro? Or hey sis, or I'm a hugger and stuff like that. So for them, they may not like that. So it's like, okay, let me adjust that, because it's like, to me in the beginning, it was like, shit, I feel rejected. Like, you know what I mean? But theirs may be acts of service, and I'm like, oh, that ain't mine. Like, I have to really care, like deep, to go and like, oh, just go do this for me. Like, you're out your fucking mind. You can go do that yourself, or yeah, it's interesting. Or the gifts one. The gifts one was it's funny enough, me and a good friend of mine, like, that's not our love language, but we kind of do that. We'll get each other gifts, and it's like, it's weird for both of us, and it's weird to receive for both of us. Then it's just like, yeah, but our main one is quality time. So it's interesting, like you have that. So that's what's up. I like that. I remember quality words, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, and
receiving gifts.
There we go, gifts. So I'm like, I feel like I forgot something. Yep.
Actually, I forgot the acts of service one. So you brought that right to my attention. I was like, oh yeah, acts of service. There you go.
Yeah.
That's a toughie. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, some people, that's their thing. Like, to show it, they will go and do stuff for you, and it's like, if that's not yours, it's kind of weird. But
yeah,
I actually, because of that one, me and my little brother, I actually had to learn that shift from him, because for me, it's like, oh, that's my brother, and I love my brother, and I'll hug him and stuff like that, and he's like, oh, why are you touching me? Like, he'll be so irritated, but big brother, I don't care, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
But his was acts of service. And so it came to a point where we kind of would get in arguments, and I'm just like, I don't feel like you love me. I'm always giving you this energy. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I just don't feel it. Like, you're not. But then it hit me after we had the argument, that I had to take a moment and come outside of myself and remember, like, wait, his love language is acts of service. So he does so much for you, and he will stop what he's doing and help you. Like, gotta remember that. You gotta shift that. Yeah, so that's cool. I like that, man.
Definitely. Wow,
I like that. That was a big lesson that I had to learn, because it reminded me to connect with people, but take a moment to get outside of myself to realize other people's.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that, once we get lost within our own sense of how we portray our love and those patterns, because it's like, that's how reality is. We're not really showcased anything outside of that reality. So once it comes to a point where it's like, hey, you have to cater to it in this form, it's not necessarily what you've always known. So then going, oh, like, that makes sense. Like, my theory with like relationships and why they've fallen out, and just from reading that book, has been like, we've been playing this game of relationships and have been spamming this one button and thinking that it's working. We're just like, yes, this is how it's going. And then it's like, we're pressing it, and that button that used to work, it's not working. And it's like, why is the meter going down? Like, it used to work. What's going on? And it's like, no, press this button. It's just this over here. And then pressing it and going, oh, now it's working. Like, seeing that progression, or at least learning where that stems from, has been game changing. Because it's like, oh, I thought it was this because this is how I've always been. So being able to switch that up, and especially for someone that you do love, it's like, oh, I've always been willing to do it because I've been exerting that energy in this form. It was just the wrong button. Like, that's all it was. So yeah, definitely a game changer for sure.
Definitely. And honestly, and I'm sorry, when you were doing it, it made me think, like, when you were like pressing it, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, he's pressing the X button. He's pressing the X button. The new button is the O button. The one that you rarely use. I was like,
yes, that's all. Literally, yes, yeah. That's amazing.
That's the whole thing, man. I was like, X button, X button. Why is it not working?
Yep.
Oh my, oh, it's trying. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly. Yeah.
God of War moments right there.
Oh,
Uh,
yep. That's the game. Yep. Anytime it came to a giant boss moment, you pressing it. Yeah.
yeah, gotta switch it up real fast because
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes that square button. Okay. All right. So the other question is, what advice would you give people looking to do what you do?
That's a great one. What advice? I would say, mm, I would say keep going. And reason being is because I know for what I do requires a lot of patience. And I know that's something I've highlighted within my life where I was talking about how like editing requires like hours and hours on end of not just editing, but then too, it's like getting to those points where you don't like what you're seeing, getting to those points where you don't necessarily know how to continue from one point. And I've had to maneuver in so many different ways of like, okay, I don't like this portion. Let me work on this portion of the video. Let me see what this does. And then I get some type of fire within me that feels from that portion that makes me want to go back to that other part. So it's really a matter of like keep going, because it's like I've seen in so many instances for people that want to create or want to get into creating content, it's like you start and then you see all that it brings and it's like I don't really like it's too much. And it's like no, when you get to those moments of like I don't really want to, that's the moment where you keep going. That's the moment where you persevere, because it's like you never know what's going to formulate out of those moments of that stagnation essentially. And it's like that's where the most breeds, because it's challenging you. Like I still have moments, I mean, I'm editing a vlog right now. It's taken me, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks where I've just been kind of in and out back and forth of like I don't like this. I'm trying to change it and I still don't like it. Like it's not making sense to me. And I just recently got to a point where I'm like, that's it. I got it. That came from me falling out and being like, okay, I don't want to edit this right now. Let me chill. Let me work on something else. And having to persevere through those moments, I feel has honestly brought it to a stronger standpoint of building that foundation and creativity where it's sprouting into something new because of those moments where I'm like, yo, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't look right. Or it doesn't ideally have that spark that may have been in that last edit that I did. So now it's like this expectation is set. And that's really what's been a primary source of people falling off, at least in regards of content creation. Because it's like you do that one video and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then it's like you get to that next one and it's like, this is a whole different territory. Like, yeah, sure, you had that one where it's like, okay, cool, that's a spark and everything, but at the same time, it's like you're in a whole different playing ground. Now you're in a different creative space. It's a different day. You may be feeling different. There may be, I don't know, your sleep can play a part of it. So the biggest thing is like keep going. And I would say too, like you are capable of so much more than you think. Like being in a creative space has allowed me to see that like there really aren't any boundaries. The boundaries are set by your mind. The boundaries are set by the expectation that you set for yourself. So like there are no limitations. Like keep moving, keep knowing, understand that like you are everything and more when it comes to this. And I think with people limiting themselves and being like, oh, or they'll post something and then it's like it doesn't really do much, or there's no traction that would fuel them enough to keep going. That's the time to keep going. That's really the biggest thing, because it requires so much patience. It requires those hours of like you're moving, nothing seems like it's moving, but you're taking steps. Those steps are still being formulated. So that's really the biggest thing, is to keep going. Like I've seen in so many instances, like friends I've even had where they'll create, they're excited about it, and then they just stop. That's just it. And it's like back to square one. And it's like, if you continue to stop, like that's you're not going to move forward. Like know that within the moments of feeling frustrated, the moments of feeling discouraged is when that fire is breeded. Like you understand that you are continuously making steps within the frustration. Like you're supposed to feel confused. You're supposed to feel discouraged. That's where you have the choice. Ultimately, you're at crossroads when it comes to it. It goes, okay, with this level of confusion, with this level of whatever disorientation within your playing field, are you going to keep going, or are you going to segue into that comfort zone of just retracting, of hermiting, because you know that's your comfort spot? So that's really the biggest thing. Keep going. It's a patience game. It's a game of ups and downs and lefts and rights, but ultimately it's beautiful. So yeah, I would say keep going. It's the biggest thing.
Okay, it's powerful. All right, shoot,
Mm.
you taught me something right there.
Oh,
Again,
that's dope. That's
yeah,
dope.
yeah. It is like you said, it's those factors, like you're in a different ball game, because sometimes I could be creating something and then next thing you know, I'm like, I'm feeling tired, or
Yeah.
like, and it also reminded me too of like when you do kind of like your stuff, like you go out, you go relax, or you go soak some sun, you do those things to take care. You
Yeah.
have that energy to do it, and it is those periods when you're in the middle of creating, and it's like, damn, like I remember when there's like how you were saying you would start something and it's like 6 a.m. and I'm like, all right, no, okay, let me just push through it. The next thing you know, by the time
Yeah.
you're done, the birds are chirping. It is 8:38 a.m. and it's just like, oh, okay. But it's so worth it because it's like, oh, it's done. So, but you just
Yeah.
taught me like keep going right when you're feeling like that. So it's just like in
Yeah.
that moment, like you just highlighted and pinpointed like that's the moment where you really need to like, okay, this is where
Yeah.
you need to go, because all right, he was feeling good, but
Yeah.
now okay, that feeling went down, so now you feeling, that's when you keep doing it. And notice when you do that, you do pick up a second wind of
Yes.
creativity and things. So
100%.
yeah, so thank you for that, my man.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you,
absolutely. Absolutely.
thank
Yeah.
you. So another question is, what's your life like outside of social media?
Mm, beautiful. Life right now, I'm in full introspection. Like along with creating, when it comes to, okay, phone is off, it's like, okay, what is it that I can do to improve? What is it that I can do to understand more of that self and seemingly grow into the person that I know I always am? Like that, I saw this yesterday where it's like when you feel lost and like you feel as if like you don't know who you are, it's like, no, you're just so much more than you thought you were.
Yeah.
Like so much more. So as of right now, like I'm really honing into just understanding, once again, like to tie into like knowing who I am without editing, knowing who I am without content creation, and honing into that to see what more there is. Like even as of recent, I mean, from taking a break and going, oh wow, like I really love to read. Like I crazy. This, I know this happens to so many people, but it's like you're reading something and then you get to a point where you're kind of just glancing and then you go, oh wait, I'm go back and trying to like regroup and then trying to read it. I've noticed where I've had to take a break and firmly hone myself into reading to understand when it comes to those points, like, no, you're just supposed to bring your attention and focus to every word and hear it or verbally say it out loud, and understanding that like at that point where I grasp more of that, I love receiving information. Like that's a huge thing. As of recent, with taking a break, like I've honed more into like my beatboxing, honed more into like singing, honed more into my dancing more again. Like there's all these different things that I'm beginning to discover right now. So literally outside of content creating, I'm starting to pull out a lot of my inner child, where I've seen where like, okay, when I was really small, beatboxing was like everything. I watched my dad beatbox. And then like as we are talking about like accents and everything, like getting to acting, like voice acting and like accents, things like that. Rapping even, where I've always had in mind like rhymes and things like that that I would never write down. But it's like now with pulling myself away, that's strictly something I can focus on, because it's pulling away this naturality of this pattern that I'm always in and targeting those things that like I've kind of abandoned. So right now, like really getting myself together, getting the mind more intact, getting my body more intact. Like that's why working out has been dope, because it's like I've never pushed myself to a point where like, I'm okay, cool. Like I need to discipline myself to do those push-ups before I go to sleep, do those sit-ups, knock out the workout, punish myself for skipping a day, and understanding like, okay, I've never really punished myself, but like having that will to do more, do better. So like right now it's really trying to get myself together, understanding the mistakes that I've made, and toning down the exertion of like, oh, positive, and knowing like, okay, there is negative, the beauty of the yin and yang, like with positivity comes to negativity. With the light comes darkness. Without light, there is no darkness. Without darkness, there is no light. So really honing in and ultimately really getting myself together, like understanding where I need to grow, where I need to retract, like those hermit moments that are necessary. I mean, having SirDushon time, like that's really the basis right now, is like what's next in this 21? Like what's the movement? So life outside of it is really introspection right now, really looking within. So that's where I'm at. That's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, my man. You're very welcome. So next question is, what are you most grateful for?
Wow. Literally, I'm learning and expressing more gratitude for existence itself. Like I was talking to my uncle just yesterday, and I was like, we have the ability to experience itself. Like putting that into perspective of like, okay, even in this moment now where I can look around, I'm moving, I feel the vibration in my chest as I'm speaking, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at these shapes and lines. It's like, that's a privilege, and it's such a beauty to truly experience within that sense. So right now, like I've learned more gratitude for just life, like the fact that we have from everything, from the good, the bad, to the really shitty days, the really dark and like I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's like still being able to go, I appreciate this though, because this is teaching me something.
Yeah.
And I know that like there's so much more for me to experience to have more gratitude for existence. But as of right now, I'm learning like, okay, I'm valuing conversation more. I'm valuing receiving information. I'm valuing colors, valuing shapes and sounds. I mean, there's times now where like I'll really hone into listening to a bird chirp. I hadn't realized how many different sounds that birds make. Like it's not just like that one chirp. It's like, no, they have different patterns and levels to the way they chirp and the way they communicate to each other. I'm like, yo, like birds speak to each other the same way that we speak to each other. It's not just they're making sounds. Like, no, they're firmly communicating words, sounds, symphonies, as we were talking about. Like, so it's really right now, especially with dwelling more in my individualism and understanding more of myself, it's brought me more to that, like, hey, we have the ability to exist. This is an experience that we've been granted. Let's really live this shit out. Let's really understand the purpose of why we're here, the purpose of sound, the purpose of music and frequency and touching and all these different things. So right now, the gratitude has been to existence, literally just to being here and having the opportunity. Because it's like, I mean, there's people that are gone. There's plenty of people that haven't woken up this morning. It's like the fact that we're able to be here, that means we still serve a purpose here. There's something more to be done. So to have that is literally everything and more. So that right now it's just exists. And it'll always be that. It'll always be that. It's only going to continuously grow. So right now it's just existence and learning it really. So yeah.
That is unique and amazing. I love it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Because like me and some friends and even things that I see, like we'll joke and we're like, I didn't pay to be here. Like,
yeah.
this is two people who came here. Now I got bills. Like,
Yeah.
I need to look at the policies, the contracts that was written for you to be. So to hear you say is very unique and amazing, and I love that. I love that, and your perspective on it is, like I said, unique and awesome. So thank you for sharing that.
Wow. Once again, thank you for being receptive. Because for one, I refuse to take credit for that, because it's like ancestors have shown me more of like that appreciation, like through speaking to my angels, being able to connect more. Like that's really where it's been. I mean, even down to making videos, like I always say, like I cannot take credit for any idea, any way it turned out, any sound, because I know, of course, yes, it's a choice, but at the same time, it's like that was funneled. Like I allowed myself to be receptive to those transmissions of like, okay, use this color, do this animation, do this, put this right here, put this at this exact point, like right here. I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for any type of intuitive nudge to go right here, put it right here. So can't take any credit, but like once again, thank you for even being receptive. The fact that I can even contribute that's everything. That's everything. So tough stuff. Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you and your ancestors and all of your spiritual team, man. Appreciate all of y'all. Appreciate all
And likewise for even being here, like that, they got you here. So
y'all.
yeah.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I pick on them all the time about it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just like to mess with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I think, yeah, okay, this question. Two more. So this question is, who impacted you the most in your life and why?
Whoa. That's huge. Wow. Who impacted the most? Whoa, because I have a list of people that have like impacted me, but the most?
Mm-hmm.
That's big. Oh my God. I want to say, whoa, that's really big. This is making me think, like this is taking me in. Um, the most, wow, this is hitting me different right now. I like this mind boggler here. That's fire. That's fire.
Happy to help. Happy to help. Yeah.
100%. The most. Wow. Off rip, I want to say Michael Jackson.
Okay.
And reason being, as of recent, I've noticed his energy circulating a lot more. And with him, I just remember being like four or five, and sitting in this chair. Because my parents, they've taught like dance classes for as long as I can remember, like hip hop, jazz, modern, everything, a full fusion of just like a collection of dance. And I remember there was like this little like DVD player, like this portable DVD player, and I think my mom's boss, she had like a collection of all these Michael Jackson like movies and everything. I think it was like the Michael Jackson Experience movie, and I remember just sitting down and just watching it and just soaking everything in, watching his performance, watching his energy, watching the reactivity from the crowd, just everything placed in one, and seeing this divine being that literally like shifted existence itself, like the landmark, the pinpoint of him being here and seeing the impact that it had on existence itself, like seeing the Michael Jackson impersonator, seeing the singers that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, seeing the dancers that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Like in that moment, and I remember too, like I was watching it just fully amazed at like everything that he was doing, everything that, I mean, down to the movements, the hair, the ticks, the his voice, everything that was implemented within that soul, beautifully inspiring. Just seeing where I was like, wow, like where's this in me? Like where is it? And then dancing and then moving and then having those movements that I felt were true to me, that I knew that he was feeling wherever it was. And I remember this other dance teacher that was walking up to me and he was like, "Yo, what you watching?" And as soon as he saw, he was like, "You know what you're doing." He was like, "You're watching the right person. Like that's dope." And then he walked away. And I remember like that still rings in my head to this day, like here watching him and seeing that approval, seeing that like, yeah, you're at this moment right now, your age, everything that you're consuming, this is perfect. Him already knowing my parents, him knowing the skill set that I had, like he was like, yeah, you know exactly what you're doing. And so that carrying on into my creativity and seeing where right now, like I have his book, I just got his book, and like seeing his story, seeing his development, seeing where he's come from, and then seeing where that talent really drove from, and just that level of energy and the way he changed perspective. I mean, bringing love around, like there's so many different things that he brought that I feel has ultimately shifted the way we see life, the way we see our own creativity, how we express it, all these different things. That's really played a big portion of where I stand, where I've contributed my own light to society. Like that's really where like my motive has come from, because it's like, okay, if he can get the world to talk about it doesn't matter if you're black or white in a world where racism, all the isms are so primary to create that divide and conquer. You can gather hundreds and thousands of people to say that in a crowd, not even so much in the world, but in a crowd all together, and you're having people crying and passing out and expressing their own self. Like there's so much beauty in that. And I've always seen and heard like, yo, there's nobody like Michael. There's no one that's topped that. And it's like that entity has been so like beautiful and special to existence. Literally, the fact that we've been able to live in a time where he was in his physical body here, like that's everything. So yeah, all in all, like Michael has been like the jump, like this standpoint of like, whoa, this is something I know I'm going to carry for the rest of my life. Like even unconsciously in dancing, it's like I can feel moves of him being in there. I can feel certain ticks in and certain grooves that I know I've pulled from him, and it's like that's been rooted for the longest. So Michael, definitely Michael. Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. That is huge. Michael is definitely, I don't think I have any words for him because I gotta say, growing up, like, because I think you're born in 2000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 92. But growing up and seeing like his videos and his music, it was, I seen him, but I would say what I've noticed the most was his impact on the people around me and the world. Like I seen him,
Yeah.
but it was more like, okay, I see this person, but this person really like I'm noticing he really draws you in. So, growing up, I didn't see like what they seen, and it was just like his music and how they felt when he spoke, and just everything, and just like hearing that, just how where the people were when this song came out, what he
Yeah.
did. And it was just like, it was just so much. And then when he passed and stuff like that, just like you can just feel like this shockwave hit the
Yeah.
whole like universe. Like I remember that feeling. And again, at the time, I wasn't so like, oh, let me watch his videos, but it was noticing this impact on this person, and still to this day how he has this energy that just permeates every like region. It was just like, I remember I started looking, I was like, let me look into his videos. Let me look into his old music videos. And I remember, every time I keep saying, I keep hearing, I remember the time, but
Yeah.
every time I would go back, I would get this feeling as if like I was there with the generation. Like I was able to witness what he provided them. And it was just like,
Yeah.
damn, this is what y'all were feeling. This is the what he put out there. And it was like that impact, and just like how he did stuff in the story. And it's
Yeah.
like, you even to this day you can watch it, and it's just like you can just get into it like it's a whole new video now. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, he did that. He did that. He did that, and still does. Like, and even now, his dance moves are definitely incorporated into a lot of like. I like watching dance videos, so I like watching different type of dance groups and stuff like that. So to see like how they'll still implement Michael Jackson's or some type of form of it, and it's just like, damn, man, it's 2021. We're still, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
It's
That's huge.
timeless. Like he's created timeless movement,
Yes.
timeless energy, timeless sounds, timeless sound frequency, like all of it. That's why literally like there's no one questions Thriller in October. No one questions it. Everyone just yes, Thriller. Okay, cool. Like the fact that that is an ongoing thing that will probably never die out, like never. Like that shows something. Like the
Yeah.
fact that we keep him included in so many different aspects, but something so grounded, a holiday, whatever the I always look at like holidays being the what I call the national cash grab. It's like, oh, it's perfect. Halloween, perfect. The candy sales are going up. It's perfect. But like for something like that, it's like that energy is still incorporated. That's something that is always going to be there. That timelessness of just his infused creativity from his pains, from his successes, from everything. That is something that I've seen that's been so beautiful. So like, yeah, it's timeless, literally everything.
Perfect word. Timeless. That was the perfect word for that. Yeah. Timeless. Timeless. That's the word right there.
Yeah.
Damn. You hit that, my man. You hit that. Well, I mean, those were my questions for you. So, do you have any questions you want to ask or anything that's on your mind or stuff like that? Let me know.
Let me see. Question. I know one just popped up in my head and now it's circulating. Where do you feel that's perfect? Where in your creativity do you feel you're strongest in?
I would say the vision for it. I can in that world. So like when it's in here, like I can see so much. Like I see everything, if that makes sense. Like I literally can see like everything of it. Different angles. And when I'm bringing it together, the creativity and the intelligence, which that's a whole different other topic, but I can see it all just like coming into play. Like, okay, I know this color is going it using just like colorology with stuff. Like I know this color will invoke this feeling, this movement will invoke that, or whatever it is, or this is the core um energy I want with it, and then the other energy that takes place. So it's like I get it here. I would say that part of having the vision for it is um the strongest for me. I've always been good there. Um now now taking it out and putting it on paper, that is easy for me too, because I can draw. I'm not saying I'm a perfect, but I can really draw. Like that's what I've learned with my gift of drawing, is to take what's in here and put it on paper. Um, I would say so having it, formulating it in here and then putting it on paper, I would say that is definitely um I would say that's definitely the strongest, but it does go into another level of when it's time to do it.
Right.
That is when I have to I have to work on the control of my power, and I
Right.
have to work on patience, because in here it's fast and
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
doing it, it's like I can make it happen. Like, okay, we need this here. I need this person here. This is what I see. Da 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 da. Put it over here. I let you do over here, and I want it right then and there in a way, but it's like control your power,
Mm.
be patient, because you're bringing it into the physical, and this takes time, and that's where I have to talk to myself a lot at. So I would say strongest up here and putting it on paper. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think one of the things, because my just hearing you, my mom is like a crazy visionary. So one of the things I've seen in regards to how her operation works is like she'll like look somewhere and just be stuck, and then she'll go, got it. And it's all visualized. So to see it in a sense where like for your creativity, I mean, being here and this being in a physical sense, like you've put that into fruition. Like that's something that you've made real in the physical sense. So that's dope to see that like that's your strong point, because that's really where it starts. I mean, that's the origin, the root of where creativity like really sprouts. So that's dope. Because now I'm looking to go, okay, where can I hone more into the vision and bring some more clarity to it before bringing it out? Because for me, I'm super, all right, cool. I can put it out in the physical sense because I'm so physical, literally with everything. Okay, I'm editing, I'm shooting, I'm moving, all the body movements, all the body parts, they're all put together. So it's all with physical sense. So thank you for that perspective. That's really dope. That's
Yeah.
that's really dope.
No
Okay,
problem. No problem.
one more. Let me see. what do you feel? What do you feel that you learned about yourself that was like game changing?
Um, that because I'm a unique person, all of us are unique in our own way. So one, understanding that because of my purpose and me being unique, um, I've had to accept, number one, what comes with that. And that I didn't know was hard. I thought I did, but it was more to it. Um, that was that part. But the second part was then giving my permission to be free to learn and get things as I need to learn and get things. So
Yeah,
that was the biggest game changer, because it's like, well, this successful person is saying if they do these steps, it'll work. So I'm like, well, let's not change the wheel here. Let me try to do it like them. But it's like,
yeah,
that don't work for me. And I'm like, okay. So I would think like, dang, maybe I'm not trying, or maybe, and I get it, everybody learns differently, but I learned differently. So it was just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm like, okay. So it came with having to take a moment and understand, like, hey, their purpose and what they're doing, that worked for them. That's great. You've seen it, love them, give them their energy, kudos. But that don't work for you. And I had to accept that and what came with that, in a sense of like, you are going to experience and get things differently than most people. At the
yeah,
same time, people aren't going to understand how you get things, and it's not for them to understand. And though you're going to want to find some people to connect with on those levels, you may not, and you're going to have to deal with that.
yeah,
So eat that. When you finish eating with that, with
yeah,
your next meal, okay, now it's, let's give yourself the permission to get things. So this person may say that, well, for me, I like to go exercise, and that's how things work for me. On your hand, the spirits may tell you to go over here and sit under this tree for a split second. And all of a sudden, this leaf fell on you. And then now everything has just been made sense to you of why.
yes, yes,
So you got everything and then some. Now you can take that and go do what you're supposed to do. I was like, yeah, this gonna be different. This,
yeah. Wow, yeah,
yeah, so that was the biggest life changer, was giving myself the permission to receive as I need to receive it, and understand like, hey, it ain't, everybody's different, and I know
mm,
my shit is really out of the box, so out of the
yeah,
world. So but I have to, hey, give myself permission and go outside of the world to get what I need and come back to this world. So yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Thank you for that though, because I think as of recent, I've began to understand more of the concept of providing yourself permission, because I don't think we're aware as to how much we really block ourselves off, or we're so much in our way. Like I've just learned like, yo, you can really be in your way like entirely. Like you are your own like field goal. You're the goalie. Like you're blocking yourself off from like your blessings or just your accessibility to all that you are truly capable of. So I think just with that accessibility of giving yourself permission and it being able to acknowledge that, like that is amazing. That only further solidified that concept for me. So thank you for that, because it's like, yeah, grant yourself that permission because you're so deserving of all that receptivity, like everything that comes with it. So dope. That is food. I'm taking it. Thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah, bro. No, I
Ah,
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
ah, this is so dope. I genuinely appreciate this. Like this is dope. Dope stuff.
Definitely, definitely. And I wanted to comment on what you said, like how you like you're so physical into it. I've learned, and I've been very made aware that that is an area that that's like not my strongest.
Yeah.
And so I love like how you say you do it. So for me, I like to learn and just like, pick up, and like how you said, you'll do it and you'll get through it. So it's in that moment, the physical moment of going through it, and I get tired, I'm just like, yeah, I'd rather go to bed. In my mind and vision, it's like, I just get this like this, put this here, put this here.
Yeah.
I see everything. It's just taking some time to get. Oh, it's like my mind and the vision is on, what is it, we'll say level 15, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is killing me from 2 to 3. Like, how do we not? I'm like, okay, we're
Yeah.
in 2021. Do we not have something for this? Like, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
but to see, like you said, so I like it because it's like, connecting with other people who are creative, you can learn, how they do stuff. You can pick up something from it, and it's cool. It is definitely cool. Yeah, like I like that. I like it a lot. Even in that, I've had to learn to understand that, because it's not my strength. I do know that I have a lot of power to do it, and I've learned focus power works for me.
Mm,
Whereas I'm used to just throwing 100% and obliterating something if I need to. It's like, in the sense of doing it, it's like focus, patient power is needed. So in this hour, put your all into it. And in that hour, you've gotten so much further along.
yeah.
So, and it's okay to, okay, I did my hour. It's
Yeah.
okay to go and just relax. But it's like, because it's not, it's not my strength, but I learned from like how you said, I just do it. I do it. I'm like, okay, I could do that for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
After that, I got it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, I mean, just with, I mean, your process, I think one of the biggest things is you being able to acknowledge that strong point, and then to being able to utilize it in a form where it works the best for you. Because I think with understanding that strong point, you know the foundation of it. Like, you know the foundation as to where you are most, in a sense, suitable. Like, you know your strong point enough to go, okay, this is where I'm honed into, and like, let's sprout from this. And it's like, having that foundation is dope, because it allows you to navigate more. It allows you to navigate truly in those areas where it is a bit weaker, in that sense. Like, the weaker link, you can add more energy into that from this foundation of like, okay, this is where I really got it down. So, I mean, even from hearing that, like you being more visionary, I'm like, okay, cool. Where can I add more in this weaker point? So just hearing that perspective, I'm like, okay, let's tap in. Let's sit with ourselves more. I mean, I was even writing out a treatment for a music video, which that deals more with like the visionary sense, and I was really struggling. I was just like, okay, I'm writing this down, and like, okay, let me ensure that I'm not exercising any additional like burdening, because for one, I haven't written out a treatment in so long, and then two, it's like, give yourself that space. So I remember I got to a point where I was like, okay, this is good enough. All right, cool. Let me leave it out. So it's like, okay, in that moment where, something like that for me in editing, where I would go, let's keep going. Like, let's see what else we can do. I know I can tap more into that. So I will thank you once again. That's definitely also my perspective, and just in that point. So thank you for that. That's dope.
Hey, bro, I appreciate it. See, this is why I love just connecting with people, because everybody has their like strength and perspectives and stuff. And so it's just like, to be able to share that with each other.
Yeah.
Each person is able to get something that makes them, even a little bit better, or shift the game for them. So I love it. I love it. So you're welcome, and I thank you.
No, absolutely. That is everything. Thank you, thank you. That's so dope.
Yeah, bro, it's awesome. I like how you said like you do it. I love it. I see some of my friends, they'll go and they'll go ham like into stuff for like days, and I'm just like, yeah. But but if someone was to tell me like, hey, like I have a vision for something,
Yeah.
and I'm like, if you share your vision with me, especially like you're someone I care for, I always tell people, don't share your vision with me, because once you do, I'm gonna uphold you to it. So unless you want that, don't
Yeah.
don't tell me. But then the second
Yeah.
thing, you say I have a vision for something, it'll all just open up in my head. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, talk to me, talk to me. What are you feeling? What are you thinking about doing? And I just see every time you speak, the energy changes. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, boom. I see what you can do for A, B, if you break it out. Okay, you like the move. Okay. So we can do this in segments of that you can do stuff. It'll just come to me and I can just like write it all out and break the vision down. I'm like, okay, there you go. And they're
Yeah.
like, how did you do that? I'm like, bro, this is my specialty. But all of that A, B, Z, you got to do that. You got to do that. I broke it down for you, but you got to do that. I can't help you with all of that. I can
Yeah.
point you somewhere. I know
Yeah.
somebody, but
The guidance is there. Yeah.
yeah. I can only do that part. Like you're good with the action. I'm gonna let you do it. And they kill it. They knock the shit out. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Holding them accountable. That's the biggest thing. Like I know for so many different things, especially for like mostly like committing myself to like anything outside of like projects, like I need to be held accountable. Like even down to like working out where it's like my boy Max, like I know if I work out with him, like he will not let me bullshit. And there's so many times where I'll let myself kind of bullshit and be like, like I'm getting better with disciplining myself and like will seriously punish myself and give myself an extra amount of workouts just for like a day that I missed or not going harder on that last rep because you knew it was comfortable just to do a little bit less. Like I know, like I'm trying to set myself up with like, no, hold me accountable. I need to be held accountable. So 100%. That's the movement. That's a movement. It's crazy.
Yeah, bro, you got to. Accountability is like everything, because yeah, that's like how I am, like, just with people. Like I always caution them, like, are you sure you want to tell me your vision? Like, okay,
Mhm.
and after that, I will be on your ass, like, okay, but I had to learn, I'll be on your ass, but you got to be on your ass too. Now, if you purposely not doing it, then I can't beat a dead horse. But if you're doing it
Yeah.
and there's some moments where you're not sure, by all means, I'll help you out. As long as you put in some energy too, I'm gonna be on that ass. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's where it comes from. Like it's to the point where I will be on you, to where if you're talking to me about, maybe something you're going through, I will ask you, are you venting, or
Mm,
do you need advice, so I
mm,
know how to properly help you? Because you may not want advice. You might just want to say what's going on. And
yeah.
they'll say like, okay. And it's like, no, I'm just venting. I'm like, okay, all right. You feel better? And it's like, yeah, I'm all right. Great, great. Then later
Uh,
on, they'll hit me with something. I'm like, you want advice? They was like, yeah, like how do I do them? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I go through it. But
Mm,
best believe I will follow through after I gave you that advice. I'm like, okay, so it's
yeah.
been 2 days, what's going on? And they'll tell me about, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
That's a beautiful approach to be able to acknowledge that first and foremost. Like, okay, are you venting? Are you releasing? Or is advice needed? Like that's one thing I've had to consider as of recent, and just with like building boundaries and understanding like your energy tank has been when it comes to people coming to you for help, being able to acknowledge, hey, do you have enough capacity to receive all of this energy? Do you have enough capacity to receive all of these problems, my complaints, everything? Because like I've seen where in so many cases being someone that helps on so many different ends is like you can't keep giving or distributing your energy or your time, effort, whatever it is, when your cup is empty. Like
Yeah.
that's you're gonna constantly, it's like trying to drive a car with no gas. It's like, no, you want to be able to refill it and then acknowledge like if you don't have the capacity to be like, yo, I can't take that right now, like let me get some space, let me get some time, like I wish you everything, there's nothing to neglect you, but yet I don't want to deplete my energy entirely to where it makes it harder for me to recover because I didn't consider myself. Like that's where I feel like that whole selfishness term, that I feel like that's where it makes the most sense. So great approach to be like, are you venting or do you need advice? Because you can then set yourself up to understand where you stand essentially within that point for someone coming to you. So I gotta use that. That's dope. I love that.
Yeah, bro. It helps. It helps so much. And I promise you, because sometimes you have to ask them and it'll make them think like, oh, well, I'm venting. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because if I give you advice, you just don't take it, I'm finna have an attitude and you gonna feel some type of way. But now we on the same page, you keep moving. But it's important too, like what you said, like having that, that refill your tank. So one of the things that, with the ones who are close to me and stuff like that, they know, like, I'm like, all right, guys, hey, between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m., that's the time. That's my time with the ancestors,
Yeah. Yeah.
So anything between 12 and 4 a.m., I'm gonna need you to try to survive. And if you
Yeah.
can't, proper authorities.
Yeah.
So, now sometimes I have people where they'll say, oh, like, I called you at 2 a.m. I know you was up. Yeah, I was, but my phone was on airplane mode. That was me in time with the spirits. I had to recharge. And it was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
this understanding where when you have that you time or whatever that time is, they understand. Like, my sister, I talk with her every day.
Yeah.
So she'll know that if I drop off the face of the earth, most likely on a Tuesday,
Mm. Wow.
or if I haven't hit her up, she'll want to kill me, but then she'll like, wait, he he didn't call me and I text this Negro 3 times.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know where he lives. I could go cut him, but he's probably having a day that he needs to recharge. And sure enough, I'll probably call her the next day. And she was like, how was your day? And I'm like, no, no. What were you doing yesterday? I was like, man, I laid in the bed. I needed to recharge. She was like, oh, okay, that's good. Cause I was gonna come slice your throat. I was like, you don't gotta do that. You don't gotta do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you gotta recharge yourself. So
Absolutely.
definitely, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's no, just with that approach. I mean, I feel like I got to a point where I felt I was just like talking way too much. And it was like in the midst of understanding spirituality more, it's like you just want to share it. Like, oh, I'm learning this, I'm learning this. Like, oh, so it was like for every given situation where someone just needed like an ear, I was constantly on drive mode of being like, okay, well, you can do this and you can do that. And it was like, that wasn't necessarily what they were seeking. Sure, they appreciate it, but at the same time, it's like know when to cap that, know when to just be a listener. And through those experiences, I've learned to be a better listener. So I think with that approach, it puts you at the crossroads to go, okay, am I being a listener? And you can be placed in that seat to go, okay, I'm here and this is where it's at, versus going, okay, I'm kind of just gauging based upon how this is going. So that, once again, I'll keep thanking you because there's so many different things I've just put in place to go, wow, like, okay, cool. Yeah, SirDushon time. All right, boom. All right, let me put this question in place first before making an approach so that there's a stronger sense of like understanding first and foremost before that like initiation. So dope. Once again, I definitely appreciate that. It's, oh man, I got some food, got some homework, got some homework. I'm so with this. Like, this is proper homework. I ain't gotta write nothing and add assignments up in x minus y equals the square root of the sun. This is real homework. So.
Ooh, that sounded complicated. I was like, yeah, that's
Um,
he threw math and that ain't. So I feel you. I feel
yeah.
you.
Oh yeah, man. That's school and stuff. But yeah,
I remember you
man.
did an episode on that. That was too funny. I was
Oh
like,
yeah, there's more coming. I'm reading this book right now. I think I showed it on my live. It's called what is it? Weapons of Mass Instruction.
yeah, yeah. I seen you share that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see how that goes. Really. Oh, okay. So guys,
Mm.
because me and you could talk. We could talk after I end the recording. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into the episode. There is no gut check in this episode. I wanted to focus solely on him. And I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all got gut checks in this. No questions. I've been out. So no questions like I normally do. I'm trying to see if I remember any other segment. Nope. Nope. I think I covered. We're not gonna go over those segments. Yeah, with that being said, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Oh, thank you, y'all. SirDushon, where can they find you, my guy? People can connect with you. It was like, they were like, hey, I was like, my bad. Yeah, go.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Anywhere, literally on Instagram and TikTok. And YouTube. It's at SirDushon. So SirDushon. And yeah, that applies to everything. Just SirDushon.
Got you. Okay, and guys, I'll put the links to his pages in the episode description, so you'll be able to click on there and they'll be able to check you out, and they'll be able to find him. And you guys will definitely be blessed by his content, because I have been sharing it with so many people. Like, I was telling my sister, I was like, hey, you need to look at this. And I love it. I'm just like, this is a vibe. You will not like, I promise you, you will not waste your time at all. Like, if anything, you're going to have lots of laughter. You're definitely going to be inspired if you're someone that's out there like editing and anything. And awesome energy. If you obviously you're hearing him, feeling his energy so far. So definitely seeing what he creates with that. Top notch, guys. So any last words you want to share with them for when they're listening to this, wherever they are at in the world?
Do whatever the fuck you want. Literally.
That part.
Do whatever the absolute fuck you want. And I will leave it at that. For whatever that entails, for whatever that means, please do it.
That part. Yes. I love that. Free yourself, guys. Just go ahead and do your thing. And with that, you all have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, twilight. Whenever you are listening to this, whatever you're doing, drink plenty of water. You guys are amazing. Continue being great as you always do. Please don't come for me, because I will come for y'all later. But you guys are awesome. And with that being said, guys, I will see you all soon. Have a fantastic rest of your night, guys. And thank you, my man, for coming on. And guys,
Thank you.
later.